Shalom, 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 shalom. Just gonna get this live stream started. Call volume La Yahweh Bashem Yal Shai, Bashem Chakudash. All praises, honor, and glory to our power Yahweh Bashem Yal Shai, Bashem Chakudash. Giving double honors to our apostles and elders, of great millstone, who well, peace and salutation to the elect, the first fruits, the choice inspired, that whom the Lord can have mercy upon in these times. Starting with the prophets, who are Ashim, the Heats, and whom the Lord has bestowed this truth and this knowledge to preach to the rest of the remnant of the believers. All right. No one in the church or no prophets to come to their repentance, okay, in which Yahweh Bashem Shai has predestined before the foundation of the earth for the elect to receive the mercy and to not be destroyed in the coming destruction that is fast approaching, okay, as we can see with a lot of the different events on earth, and you got big major signs, government being one, shutdown, of course, giving double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone as well. And you got major signs of the end. You had a earthquake that occurred, right? In Philippines today. Okay, an earthquake that had happened. Okay, dozens killed. All right, they got and fair use warning. This is for educational purpose only. Shalom to Magan, Shalom, Yahweh Shalom. Remember, I'm not an elder. Those are Quan, and Yahweh is a Quan. I'm still just a wee and in the camp. Just of course doing my role and such. So just know that, of course, and such. But yeah, so we no problem, no worries. But yeah, so Lord will, all the audio is fine because this is the first time I'm trying to do like the the live stream like via the cell phone with the just screen recording like Elder Malcolm does and such, but not in the live stream format. But you understand what I mean. As long as the audio is good, y'all can see what it is going on. That's good. So because I feel in the spirit, the live stream could be good, for people, right now, especially on your Yom Kippur or Day of Atonement. Your one being Day Kippur is going to atone, purge, amend, and such, right? And which we do a 24-hour fast. Started at this is current date being Wednesday, October the 1st, year 2025. We had, of course, the beginning of the Day of Atonement was at Eve, Tuesday Eve on the 29th and such. Our days are Eve to Eve, okay? So you have it the Day of Atonement, which we afflict our soul by a fast, okay? And the Lord, is definitely seeing everything that's going on, seeing our cries and bringing forth prophecy. So you got to hear the aftermath of earthquake in Philippines off the Associated Press. What you see is a abadium or destruction, all right? You got here another one up in the Philippines, but you got a lot of Israelites that's out there in the Philippines for sure. Defo. And I've encountered dealing with them too. Growing up with them, a lot of them, Jake, especially in Philly, we got a lot of Filipinos out, certain areas, Alany, Logan, you know, in so many different areas and communities.
Is so high, those buildings just collapsed when the quake hit. Currently, it stands at 69, but authorities say it is almost certain to rise. We don't know how many people are missing because some of those areas are completely cut off. Now,
Yeah, Jollibee, one of their staple of the fast food chains. You know, get the I guess they got like chicken and gravy and things of that sort. Hey, the Lord is throwing it down. Okay, throwing down these different you know, places and such. All right, they got different perspectives. You know, I'm not sure if that's like a church or something like that, but they got at least 69 people that have been killed from this quake. The Lord gave us the warning, and you know, go back to Matthew 24. That's one scripture. You could go to Matthew the 24th chapter, which it speaks about um, the end times, the end signs. Matthew 24:3, and he sat upon the Mount of Olives. The disciples came upon him, unto him, Slakia, pardon me, saying, tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? Okay, and these different tokens are signs, all right, omens of the end of the world, as it's going to say in verse 24. And I start at verse 26, or verse 6, like it, 24 and 6, Matthew. It says, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. This being an earthquake of that particular magnitude was a sign of the Lord's coming. All right, his second coming, his return, because the Lord did come, you know, 2,000 years ago, and he's slated to return to, you know, deliver the remnant, okay, the elect, okay, and bring destruction to the rogue man, which is Ishashua, all right, Edom, okay, waste away his heat, Adawam, okay. So, you know, we are experiencing the end of all things, all right, and the Lord visiting the earth and such, okay. Let me see if I can get that in the King James. Yeah, this is a good precept the precept of the day, man. It says this is Psalms, and this is KJV, right? King James version. Thy faithfulness, Psalms 119 and 90. Thy faithfulness is unto all generations. Thou hast established the earth, and it abideth. Okay, right. So the Lord has set this place up. You know, it's of course has its intended occurrences. All right. Now, the Lord's word is true, as it say, thy word settled in heaven. Forever, O Yahweh, thy word is settled in heaven. Okay, that's heavy. All right. It's settled, not to zab for settled, meaning it has been appointed. Okay. It's deputed. Okay. It's erected. All right. So we can trust these prophecies. We don't have to sit there and be like contemplating, like, oh, is the prophecy ever going to happen? No, the prophecies will happen and are happening. Okay. We just have to understand the Lord's time. Okay. And have patience. All right. Because the Lord is on one of his traits being long suffering. All right. Thy faithfulness is into all generation. All right. Faithfulness. Part of that is having a true word. Okay. Fidelity, steadfastness. All right. From Amawana. All right. Going back to the root Amawan. All right. Which go into being faithful or trusted. Trustworthiness. Establishment. From a mind. So be true. Right. Okay. It's established, firm. Okay. And that's what we got to know, man. Like, these prophecies are firm, man. The Lord is really moving, okay? You know, I'm not sure if you Jace can feel it, these weeks, being so short. Even your Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, it feels like for me, I was like, man, this ain't gonna go and pass. You know, you have a certain diet, in the spirit. It might be, for certain brothers afflicting themselves, it may be a little bit more. You might be more accustomed to it, because a lot of things too. We have been consuming certain things, and that have altered how our body actually, reacts, you know, to different things, you know, like deprivement of food, or abstaining for food, which that's what fasting we're doing, complete without water or food. And our body react different, you know what you feed it, etc. you know so even on right now, as I say, I'm gonna keep going with this. This is again, thy faithfulness is unto all generations. Thou hast established the earth, and it abideth. They continue this day to thine ordinances, for all are thy servants. Yep, shalom. Shalom to the Aquas on the comment board. I believe it's an Aquas that just says shalom. So shalom. Continue those sincere Aquas to be, in obedience and order, and do as commanded of each and one of y'all, to, if y'all have husbands, to be obedient to him, and of course, reverencing him is a form of worshiping the Lord, because we as men are your powers, all right, or God, okay. As you have our heed as Yahweh Shai, and the head of Yahweh Shai is the Most High. All right, you can read that in Corinthians. But yeah, so in this continuing on, it says in verse, I'm going to go to verse 86. This is Psalms 119 and 86. All thy commandments are faithful. Okay, they persecute me wrongfully. Help thou me, right? All the Lord's commandments, the things are, as you go into the Hebrew word for commandments, should be matazawah. All right. These different orders from tazawah, which is commandments, charges, commissions, ordained divine acts. All right. They happening and will happen. Okay. They're faithful. Again, Amoana in Hebrew. All right. So yeah, we gotta, hold our end of the deal and bargain as well. All right, as the Lord is bringing forth these prophecies and such. Okay. So let me see if I can get this other precept too about visit the world. All right, this is the book of Second Esdras. Let me see this real quick. Yeah, I'm gonna get this precept real quick. Yeah, Second Esdras 6 and 18, and it said, "Behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh and visit them that dwell upon earth, and will begin to make inquisition of them, what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Sion shall be fulfilled, and when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished, then will I show these tokens. The book shall be opened before the firmament, and they shall see all together." Okay, and you seeing, the truth. You seeing the words of the Lord that he promised, that he established, being fulfilled right before your eyes. You don't have to question whether a C-hip is going to be mandatory, because it definitely will be. You have a C-hip, okay? You have a MOTB, all right? Revelation, you go start at 15, go to, primarily in 16 through 18. Okay, that prophecy of, the rogue man, all right, the elite of them, of course, making forfeit a C hip, okay, a mark to be put in, everyone, okay, small and great, rich or poor, free or bond, you know. If you want to continue to participate, you will have to show reverence to the system. You will have to assimilate within the system, all right, in that form of fashion, despite the fact that the Lord is bringing it down. But the Lord is making inquisition. The Lord is visiting the wicked, okay? The affliction of Sion, hey, you know, we are at the end of our affliction, all right? And the Lord starting to turn the different curses that have been placed upon us away from us, okay? And that's why you seeing like a lot of different situations we be in, hey, it's starting to work Hanan Kaya Nawa for us. It's been basically gracious for us. All right. Khan being gracious, all right, or grace in the Hebrew, things being favorable. It's out mainly because we have this knowledge. We have that Dawah. We have that Marcus. We have the names of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai written on our inward parts. All right. We have returned and repented back to our power, and the Lord, hey, he's having mercy. Okay, which the Lord's mercy, like I say, and we don't even, for the most part, to even understand how heavy that mercy is, it's as much. Okay. So, yeah, we gonna continue to go forward. So you seeing the tokens, you seeing the books is open, this truth, which the Bible, the scriptures, the prophecies, hey, we of course put this truth and broadcast it on the internet, and you could see, the lessons and see and understand the books that's written, okay? That we at a time we didn't understand. Because if you understand too, if you in this knowledge, we understand more. Right? This is Psalms 119 and 100. I understand more than the ancients because I keep thy precepts. All right. And if we be that generation, again, we have kept the precepts, to the best of our ability, and ultimately, we getting it right because we repenting, to our power, and he's having mercy upon us. Okay. Proverbs 28 and 5. Evil men understand not judgment, but they that seek Yahweh understand all things. Right. A lot of people in these times are going to be questioning, well, how come there's a government shutdown? Are they ever going to return it back to normal? Why is there a government shutdown? Are we in the best mighty nation on earth? Or didn't our president promise us that our economy is flourishing? Yeah, madness. We understand all things. We understand that this place is going down. We understand the shop, the witchcraft that's going on, the divination, the Qasam, all these different things that's going on in the earth. Okay, and that's because the Lord gave us understanding, through the Holy Spirit. Okay. Yeah, Job chapter 39 and 9, right? I'm gonna pull it up, Job 39, which is good. That's a good precept in the Psalms 19 as well. Job 39 and 9, it says, will the unicorn be willing to serve thee or abide by thy crib? Right? Which you have, of course, this internet. You have it where, you have it with the different satellites, the horns, incoming signals, outgoing signals, be able to receive this truth, being on the different devices that you on, whether it be a desktop computer or you just on a computer device of like a smartphone, they call it, you know, which is a smartphone is as a small computer, personal computer. It just you know, in the palm of your hand. you know J and J can remember them days where you know, to have a computer was heavy. Even to have a phone was heavy. You know, I remember them days when my parents went to, you know, Sprint. You know, it was like heavy. You had to have certain credit, you know, just to be able to, you know, get it. And then once you had a phone, it was crazy. Like a cell phone was crazy. You know, and they couldn't do all this what we can do now. You know, access all this information. Okay. Read that Psalms real quick. Psalms 19 real quick. Psalms 19. It says here, the heavens, in Psalms 19 and 1, it says the heavens declare the glory of the Most High, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Day unto day utters speech, night unto night showeth knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. Their line is gone out through all the earth, right? Through the internet, okay? World Wide Web, and their words to the end of the world. And them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun. All right. And you have this truth, you know, going broadcast all across, all right, to the Americas and abroad. Okay. And you have it, thankfully, you know, hey, the end has come. You know, we at the end of the end. All right. The end of the end. Romans chapter 10 and 18. But I say, have they not heard? Verily, yes, verily, or truly, right? Their sound went into all the earth, and their words unto the ends of the world. And this truth has went out, you know, all throughout all the earth. You know, starting with our apostles and elders, you know, their elders and high priests, you know, that woke up, you know, through being in One West, you know, and you know, over in New York and such, and that truth being sent out, you know, and you know, brothers waking up, and then that truth, you know, reaching the apostles and elders and such, and that truth being put up on YouTube, and you know, now you got, you know, the end. All right, you got Jake the faithful. Faith is flourishing, because you know, as we do know, as they say, faith cometh by hearing the word of the Most High. Most of you have woke up to this truth by hearing, all right, from watching videos online. Okay, and that has you know, as the scriptures say, through the terror of the Lord we persuade men. That persuaded you to the action to go out on the highways and hedges to seek the men of the Lord, to hear the word, all right, to repent, okay, to start keeping your high holy days, get in the right manner and customs, okay, in which, you know, is of our heritage, okay. It provoke you to good works, all right, and that's great, you know, because we had that remnant that's seeing out, you know, of this dark world, and they're seeing the truth, and they're being cleansed, all right. This is Isaiah chapter 8 and 13. And it says here, sanctify Yahweh of hosts himself, and let him be your fear, and let him be your dread. Okay? You got to understand that. You know, that's what, when you were fully persuaded in your own mind in the terror of the Lord, you let him be your fear and let him be your dread. You like, yeah, if I don't take heed to these prophecies, I won't take heed to what the Lord, men of the Lord are stating, I can be destroyed. You know, I could perish. Okay, I could be hit with a nuclear missile, or teeth of wild beasts, or a horrible judgment by a spirit of vengeance. Okay, or any type of calamity that the Lord got. Okay, you know, you could be in a lot of different situations. Okay, but it says in verse 14, and he shall be for a sanctuary. Okay, so hey, we are abiding in that sanctuary. okay, of the Lord. Sanctuary, go back to the Hebrew, ma Quadash, right, which is a holy place, okay? Quadash, a tabernacle, a sacred place, Quadash, all right? Ma Quadash, of or from, Quadash is holy. Ma is of or from before a word, okay? In Hebrew, okay? La Ma Quadash right there. For La right there, and Ma Quadash going into the sanctuary. All right. But for a stone of stumbling and for a rock of offense to both the houses of Israel, for a gin and for a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And you have a lot of Jake, like I said, they just can't get the truth. They got ears that they cannot hear. All right. The Lord done made it where they can't get this testimony. All right. So it says, and many among them shall stumble and fall and be broken and snared and be snared and be taken. And you seeing a lot of these Jake come to this truth. They wake up. They not fully right anyway, you know. And then they go fall right back into the world, you know, and into a lot of the different thinkings and devices in which they have thought up. Okay, the Lord allowed them to be deceived by him, of course, because deceiver his, and that delusion, that strong delusion, overtook them. Okay, because you have it where, you know, the spirits, the Lord cleanse spirits off of us and cleanse us. These Jake, like I say, they get more spirits on them. Okay, and they ain't fully come to the truth. All right. You know, many Jake, yeah, you might have came to the truth and the knowledge, and you might have been following another group, and then you stop following that group because you found out that that group don't have this 100% truth. Okay, and then you and we're what? We're re-guided to where the whole truth is. All right, which we do believe the whole truth is with Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, which is at Great Millstone. All right, the apostles and elders, the men that are not making men fall into a ditch. All right, you're seeing men come to life, right, into this truth. You know, and it's not like people, Jake. Like for me, you know, I see like because you know Shemal Mouth, my name is a Mafba, so like truth going back to a math or math, which math, you know, to add things up, you know, it's gonna come to a true, right? You know. Yeah, it's still gonna come to different you know, realization. Right. You have it that you just had to see, okay, and come to a conclusion. Well, this group, they're not having the whole truth, the whole roll, or they haven't ate the whole roll. It's pretty clear that we have a digital system and they're coming with a C-hip and they're coming with draconian measures. All right. And, you know, savage attacks, you know, hard to bear times are coming. You know, there's certain acts that you cannot do. Okay. Though you may be in this world and it may be fully acceptable from, you know, the world. Well, in the Lord, he's calling you to follow his instruction and that which is lawful, to follow those particular advising, that particular counsel, which he set up men, which have been receiving of his inspiration, his breathing or panting, okay, which he gonna give you that oracle, that divine communication of what is right, okay. Like I said, like right now, like many of you, Jake, be on the Yawam Kapar and be fasting. You don't know what the hell you know. Sometimes what you gonna do today. I ain't know. Like I put up government shutdown as the you know, the title for this one. You know, and you know, I'm speaking on, you know, just on, you know, different topics such as, you know, conduct and where we at and the state we're in, and coming out, you know, maybe reflecting back on where we have been and where we are going. Okay. And that's all important. That's a reflection. That's self-reflection. Scripture talk about examining yourself, whether you be in the faith. Okay. So like, you know, I'm just calling y'all to re-examine and also to be thankful, because that's one of the biggest major thing that I think, or I believe that we have to be. We got to be thankful, you know, gratitude and such. All right, because you got a lot of Jake that's also they ungrateful, you know, thankless and such, man. But I'm gonna continue forth. Different precepts come up to my mind, but it says here, bind up the testimony and seal the law among my disciples. Okay, yeah, disciples is written in the Old Testament. Lamawad, right? Going back, this Hebrew word for disciple is lamawad, which lamawad go back to lamad. Lamad goes to being learned or taught. All right. I think it also means to be like a serpent, right? You know, which we know we got to be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. We have to be subtle. Okay, we got to know when to act. Many of you have been taught when to act. What is the proper season? You know, and it's the season to wake the hell up. All right, as the scriptures say, it's high time to awake out of sleep. Right, Romans 13:11, and that knowing the time that now is high time to awake out of sleep. It's Romans 13:11. For now is our salvation nearer than when we believed. Okay, so that's what ultimately you came to the conclusion to. All right, you heard the higher calling. You know, you got the anointing. Okay, by this truth, you have the understanding, and it made you realize that this is the certain definite time or season. All right, to return. Okay, this is that point. Okay, or that moment. Okay, right? It's not the moment to continue to ride around, you know, like some Jake, like we in Philly. You might think it's the time to just ride around Philly and, you know, go to, you know, the next event, you know, might hang out and lounge and stuff, and then go to work. Or, you know, you may not, you know, have to work anymore. You know, you might have it like, yeah, I'm just going to chill at home and, you know, watch the world turn, you know, watch the movies that come out, you know, see, you know, your children grow up and different things. But then the Lord showed you it's time to see about what you are at. To see that it's time for you to, hey, we got to make sure that you right, because I'm returning. Okay, whether you like it or not. All right. And many of us have accepted that we have to love that he's coming back, because that means we will be getting out of captivity. All right. But we want to be on those good ends in which we receive the salvation and not the destruction. All right. We want to be in them chambers. Right. Isaiah chapter 24 and 11. God Shalom, there is crying for wine in the streets. All joy is darkened. The mirth of the land is gone. Right. You know, and things ain't the same no more. You know, you used to be able to, I'm trying to think of just something, just like a little pastime, man. You know, you go down here in Philly, you go to certain parks, you know, a Fairmount Park. You know, you go, you know, you had the people sitting out there, you know, with the cookout, you know, you grill up something, you know, and you know, just sit back and relax, watch people ride horses and stuff like that. A lot of them things is done now. The mirth is gone, man. You know, some people, they don't even have that. Dudes do them same things now, you know? And you can see, look at how, like, right now, with the government shutdown, people aren't ready for the midnight government shutdown, all right? The darkness that come, right? People living paycheck to paycheck. They receiving certain benefits. People they giving advice how to stretch your money during the government shutdown. Right? Government shutdown, what it means for local federal workers. You know? Let's see what it say. Fair use warning. KTSM9 owns this.
All right, our top story this morning. We are now 8 hours into the U.S. government shutdown with a wide range of effects on public services and the broader U.S. economy.
Well, this comes after
and that's what it goes around. Broader the U.S. economy. What's the U.S. economy looking like? That's tanking. That's going down. Okay, it has been going down. The trillions of dollars, you know, of debt. All right. But that's a prophecy. The testimony, remember, bind the testimony amongst my prophecy. These prophecies, the testimony. All right. The testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy, as we do know, as it's written in Revelation. All right. So when you go to Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, and they talk about in verse 6, it says, shall not all these take a parable against him and a taught and proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increases that which is not his, how long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. All right, and I'm going to look into this Hebrew word here for ladeth, and that word for ladeth is kabod, which kabod usually means like a glory or like, yeah, majesty or something like that. Honor, to be heavy, right? Honored, right? Abundant, made heavy. You know, this builder strengthened himself with heavy debts, which is the Ibatya. All right, Ibatya is heavy weight debts and pledges. All right. Blue, what is that? What is a pledge? A pledge is a promise or undertaking. Right? He gonna pay a debt, but they can't pay that debt to the bankers. The government can't pay that debt to the bankers. All right. That's why there's gonna be a complete change, and that's gonna come with the MOTB. All right, change the system. Them dollar bills, they don't want that no more. Okay, they don't want that freedom. Okay, you look at the debt clock, U.S. You look on the site in real time. You know, you see that 37 trillion, okay, dollars. You know, pushing. You see that 37 trillion. All right. You see that debt per citizen being over $100,000. You know, you look into some of the numbers where most people don't have $1,000 for emergency. Okay. You know, you have, you know, what a median home costs, and then what a median income is now, and how that's failing. Okay, the median income 48,000. You know, you live in an apartment paying $1,300 plus in rent and plus utilities and such, and you may have to live frugally because, you know, them other things will put you in certain straits. You know, college tuition. You know, you click on that if it show anything. You know, certain dollar a year, if that's how that's interpreted. You know, the tariffs, the revenue, okay, the amount of municipal or city government, the average salaries, you know, and, you know, people just not working, okay, that too. The U.S. debt held by foreign countries, all right, 9 trillion, right? Yeah, and it's not coming back. Second address 16 and 16. All right, God Shalom says, like as an arrow which is shot of the mighty archer returned not backward, even so the plagues that shall be sent upon earth shall not return again. All right, and ultimately the missiles are not going to return again. But these plagues, these different curses, America is not going to be coming back. All right, you're not going to get all the oil, you know, and and just all of a sudden strike all the best deals, and, you know, all the rest of the foreign countries are just going to comply, and, you know, everything, we're going to just be all right. We're, you know, everybody going to continue to listen to us as we boast of being the greatest country on earth, and how we destroy all the countries and invade all the countries, and, you know, we just continue as how we do. No, Babylon is there's no healing for Babylon, as Jeremiah tells you. All right, cue that one.
Stopgap funding bills were voted down in the Senate.
The shutdown is
they stopping funding from coming in. Why? We just can't afford it no more. All right, they're they've been cutting programs off. Okay, cutting jobs, cutting different departments. Okay, you had a big, huge, just in local government. Just talking about federal, but in municipal government, you had big strike here in Philadelphia. With that particular union, which is DC 33, which represent beyond sanitation workers, but dispatch health workers, healthcare workers, in the health centers. Different people work with the municipal water department, with the utilities and the infrastructure, planes, so like this problem been extending way far from, a place, and where Donald Trump is telling you the illusion as if we're gonna be making America great, build back better, as what's his name, Biden would say too. Government been going down, man. All right, because there's going to be a crashing from the hills.
To lead to the furlough of about 750,000 federal employees, including residents right here in El Paso. Essential government workers will still report to their jobs, but most won't be paid during the shutdown.
Right, so during that, you're not getting paid, but they paying. Remember that year when they were doing that, and Jake was complaining, and it went for like, they said 35 days, and Jake was complaining, please, please, please reopen the government. You got TSA workers, dealing with the TSA, Transportation Security Agency, maybe. Let me see. Which deal with Transportation Administration. Security is a government agency, which I believe it operates under the Homeland Security, if I'm not mistaken. All right. Right. Due to lapse in federal funding, this website will not be actively managed. You got people that man in secure in different type of computer and programs and such that manage your websites. They're government funded websites, federally funded websites, which allegedly supposed to be funded by the different tax dollars that you get. They take out of your checks and such. But you looking on your check like, damn, where's Brad coming at? Yeah, they done took it out of the check, and they still can't fund all this money. Y'all, like Jake be having houses and stuff like that. Y'all like, damn, man, they taking out these thousands of dollars out my mortgage. They take it you pay to the government, and they still can't make things better. You might just want to have the street paved. They can't do that. The street got a big ass hole in it. You might want just a light or a stop sign that people put up. You're getting a runaround. And that's what you get. You're getting a runaround from E. All right, from the rogue man. You're getting lapse. All right. So let me look up actually what the word lapse mean too. So lapse is a expiration. All right. A temporary forfeiture of a legal right, right, due to a failure or non-action by the holder. All right. So the non-action by the holder can't make the system right. So the system can't continue. We gotta make you guys work, which as it goes into a moral transgression or sin. Okay, a lapse, because they went beyond the mark. All right, as we do know, it tell you that sin is a transgression of the law. And they already done broke the law, robbed everybody. You know how many robbery, the little schemes and false advertisement fees that they take out of people, for these different, bureaucracy, the government programs and government, offices, all right, well, it's going to take this amount of dollars just to take your picture and you know, produce this government card, but you got to waive all these rights and stuff. You just want to live, but they took all of these things out your check, or money out of things, so that they can allegedly provide you with these different services. All right, sin is transgression of the law. That's real quick. It's, yeah, I knew it. First John chapter 3 and 4 says, "Whosoever committed sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law." Right? You're gonna be beyond the bounds of the law. All right. 3, I'll get it real quick. You see, for transgresses, this Greek word poieo, which goes into, let me see, hold up, let me make sure. Transgress. To pass, right? You're not passed over the law, transgression of the law. You see that, anomia. Contempt and violation of the law, iniquity and wickedness. All right, and the scripture talk about how because of unrighteous dealings and injuries got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to the next, roughly paraphrasing. All right, how this place said the sins have reached heaven, you know. Right? You read that in Revelation, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and the power, Yahweh Shem El Shah, has remembered her iniquities. All right? So, you know, we see what it is. Let me see. I know that he put that other precept too. I was going to see if I can get that other precept the brother had put up there. I think it was in 2nd Esdras, the 16th chapter, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Let me see if I can remember. I think it's 2nd Esdras 16 and 16, something like that. Let me see something real quick. Government shutdown. How the government shut down with all the money that's getting taken out? You know? Right. Right. Yeah, 19, I think he had, if I'm not mistaken. It says, behold, famine, 16 and 19, 2nd Esdras. Behold, famine and plague, tribulation, and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. Yeah, you know, this is sent for scourge for amendment. You know, to change you, Jake. You know, give you punishment, but hey, a lot of you, Jake, ain't gonna change. Or you beat somebody so that they can reform. You know, or stop. You know, scourge. But from all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Right? Behold, his victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in a good case, pardon me. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. Right? You know, and you see, you know, people think it's business as usual. They can still get, you know, maybe a $5, you know, chicken sandwich or fries. They can go, you know, get, you know, some of these different meal packages and stuff. You know, you still get a beef patty somewhere for $1.50. Still get a taco or something, man. You might get it for it used to be $5 for a burrito, a big burrito, but now it might be like, you know, $12.99 or something like that. You know, or maybe you might get it for like $8.99, but you know, and it might be considered cheap, but you know, Jake ain't changing. And even though they get these beatings, you know, Lord, take away, make you work for free. You know, make it where that money got to be retroactive. That pay got to be retroactive. They're going to shut down the government and require yours to continue to work. What kind of craziness and madness is that? If you know, oh, well, you're federally contracted to work. You signed up for this. right? Job 20 and 4, right? Look how quick this day is going. Job 20 and 4. And it says, knowest thou not this of old, right? Magan Shalom put the good precept up, right? Through the spirit, good precepts of the Lord. Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. Okay? Yeah, the Renan. So Renana, all right, which is basically they're prospering, because a lot of times when people prosper and stuff, they enjoy, they clapping, got the singing out like, dang man, we made it, man. Celebration, especially how like a Jake, he won a championship, he triumphant. You might have conquered a battle, and you like, yeah, man, I did it, joyful voice of singing, triumphing. Well, you have it that they're triumphing, their joy, all right, they're singing, they're out of what they're going through is short, right? The Lord gave them a little season, okay? Had them even rule as the Greeks until the Romans and the new Rome reincarnated with America and the various European vassal states or, union, okay, confederacy, coming back, returning back, but we see how, everything is weak and partly strong, all right? Look, why is there a government shutdown and why is workers having to work without getting paid? That's crazy, man. Yeah, we got to keep it going. Hey, don't worry about it, guys. We'll pay you. You have it with certain shutdowns. They make other workers pay. They'll pay other workers more money, allegedly. Where are they dipping into these funds and getting this money from all of a sudden? Debt. Invented out of thin air. Government is wicked. Anybody that works for a government knows it's wicked, man. I had it during the last the strike. This particular he was a fireman, I believe. Yes, he was definitely a fireman. I was working up in a very this was near a county line up in 11 zip code, or 15 actually, I think that was, or 16 zip code up in Philadelphia in the northeast section, right? Greater North, almost damn. It was I think Jenkintown was next over, or Montgomery County or something like that was the next, and it's a prosperous place. They do things different there. You got some of these different townships and all of that, and counties that do better than in managing than these other cities and such. But anyway, you had it that the man had told me. He said, look, man, I'm not really supposed to say this, but I'll tell you like this. It's not right that an uneducated man can get paid more than me. Look at the sacrifice I've done, basically. They ain't even got a high school diploma. They might just got a high school diploma, but look what I'm doing. Anybody know anything about some of the, the firemen and stuff, like, that's a very good job and stuff like that. You work for that, man. The benefits and stuff, union, money always flowing through the damn firehouse and stuff. Everybody look at you as brave, It's one of them jobs, man. Dudes be swole, Got the fire chicks on deck, they be there, EMT chicks. But basically he said that if they paid, because basically what had happened was the different workers wanted to get paid more. Yeah, I'm guys trying to mind, yeah, guy. Yeah, man. He had said that, look, if I'm getting paid to start this amount of money, they would have to restructure the pay of everyone. Okay, because for what they're asking for, which basically like Jake just asking for a reasonable living. You know, they want to be able to pay their bills for the route of working labor. They putting their life into that. That trash job. When you do a sanitation worker or some of these different jobs, crossing guard, you dealing with order and confusion, right? You working, as a footman, digging holes, for the water department, different things of that sort. Most of them dudes, they just want to eat good. They eating at the damn Amish Dutch market and stuff. Get some chicken and, some smoked chicken and, some, some mashed potatoes, the good thing. They just want to be able to eat, eat, and take care of their family, and just be able to have some ability to be blessed. But we know this is not our rest, right? We know as a fireman, dude, you can work 4 days on, 4 days off. You can save, you get paid vacation time. It's like you getting a vacation. Most of the time, you ain't gotta respond. It ain't like you responding to all these real calls all the time. You have it where you have real calls, but there's a lot of downtime, and they're giving you good pay. So and then you got deferred comp. You got different type of investments and such. You can lay back on. It might be more than that too. Because I had an instructor was retired fireman and retired Air Force, and he was like, man, that's one of the best jobs ever. He was able to travel. This man living off investments and stuff. His portfolio and stuff, and he house and different vehicles, buying vehicles and stuff. When you first retire, you might make one big purchase and stuff, and then sit down. In some cases, like with Marmal Jake. This Jake, which I believe he is Israelite, he an Italian man, and he one of them balls. He go back to he was going in, getting it in with the jiu-jitsu and stuff, with the genesis of jiu-jitsu over here in the East Coast and stuff, and dealing with the Gracies and stuff, Gracie family with the Brazilian jiu-jitsu, the UFC and all of that. But some of these jobs are better jobs and stuff, and they do pay out very well. But remember, there's different orders, fraternities. You got to be upon brotherhoods and stuff, and it comes with different power. Because some of these damn jobs is like damn near being like you having like a minute, like clear, just free range to do what you want to do. And there's a lot of corruption. Going there, doctoring up, plastering up things and stuff like that, right? You got control of how the actual report is being done, and if you may know the person that controls how that's being processed, etc. Like it's a lot of stuff that goes down to making America run how it runs. But like a lot of time, us as just the laborers, the footmen, we just want to be able to eat and be able to just handle our business, drive a car, go on, I guess there's some type of vacation and stuff, have children, have a house, live in a safe neighborhood if possible, not get shot, you live like in that area. It was like all of those people up in that area, they was all police and ex-mighty men. They were like police and ex-military, firemen, different unionized workers and stuff like that where I was at. And like I say, they have a certain way, and America then afforded them a certain lifestyle. But as we going into, the poor is really still crying, and really we all poor. As Israelites and stuff, man, though we rich in the truth if we got this knowledge, but hey, the elite got everything, they done took our stuff, they done took our dominion, the Lord gave them the earth into the hand of the wicked, so they doing what they want with it. And with you, you're just nothing but an employee, which is a debt slave. Okay? But again, that the triumph of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. Okay? Hypocrite, chanap, which is he being godless, soiled with sin, impious. Like this dude, like he got so much debt. This man got so much sin. Okay? Sometimes, like I say, like you don't even want to look at these men. They so wicked. Y'all have it where y'all see, like me, I be seeing the tiny tops. Man, I ain't want to look at them. You know, because bull that he that off. You know. But anyway, it says though his excellently mount up to the heavens and his head reach unto the clouds, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? Because the Lord's going to get rid of these, the wicked, all right? The rogue men, all right? Yeah. Atonement, all right? It says, his children shall seek to please the poor, and his hands shall restore their goods. Yeah, you see, hey, we're going to give you jobs, don't worry. Don't worry, man. We're going to give you that retroactive pay. Hey, we might have a government shutdown, but you can move over to this, transfer and work under this little thing, and we could keep you working. You had a time when, with me, I had worked during the whole pestilence outbreak. In order for them to maintain me a job, they made us actually basically give out food and help with food banks. Right? And then they were glorying to eat the ones that run the whole thing. They glory in what they can do. Oh yeah, we provided X amount of food per week to X amount of neighborhoods. That's how he look at things. Okay? Meanwhile, he giving you garbage. The food is being thrown on the ground. You don't know where it's coming from after it's coming from the truck. We don't know what's going on in the actual manufacturing factories that are actually providing the food to these different warehouses to then be distributed throughout the communities. Stuff is you think it's fresh. It's been sitting in a box for days, and then finally it's sent out on that particular day of delivery. Okay, after Yahweh knows what happened with it. They got quality control. Where they gonna actually go and look at something and see whether it's deemable to be sent out. All right. Meanwhile, you got people that's poor. They seeing the items and they eating them and they harvesting them or scavenging them away for themselves. This place being a nation that's supposed to be so abundant and lived so much delicious, everybody should have a piece of the pie. They're not here. He just went and done stole your part. All right. So it says, So it says, you got the apostle just put up the Day of Atonement, and he said something like, basically the beauty of speaking in code. Because you're gonna have it where our tongue, our lips, all right, shapath, going to lips, I think. Double check real quick. Shapath or Shapah. Lips is Shapah, right? Or Shapathium, right? Lips. We're gonna have to, continue to disguise it, because they're gonna be shutting our mouth. You think they want us to expose what? How the hell, like, this government really is working? That you promised to work for this big organization, but we want you to show up to work every day. Like, why do I see a guy that worked for the federal government for a job that they actually make sure they keep criminals out of the country allegedly, or keep even dangerous items from entering the borders of the country, etc., screening, whom enter the country, etc. Why are they living in a common neighborhood like I do? Like I be seeing that sometimes, and he rushing to work like me and stuff, He's just a regular Jake like me. He just got that federalized job. Okay? Right? He's suffering just like me. What this mean for local federal workers? Let's go again.
Republican and Democratic leaders continue blaming one another for the impasse. El Paso Congresswoman Veronica Escobar speaking during an online briefing, saying that the absence of a federal spending bill for fiscal year 2026 is worrisome for several departments.
How about this fiscal year? We got to pass the money for this fiscal year, man. Know how much money and break it down, how much, we can get. Or maybe if we make the people suffer, we can get more money passed. So then with that more money, I can fund, such and such that things that my friends' companies want. Okay? And like I said, they're not looking for our best interests of us as the laborers. Okay? And we in the end times, which, you're going to have, a lot of, different disorder that's going to go down. Same chapter. Job 20 and 22. In the fullness. Let me see. Let me go a little bit. This is Job chapter 20 and 19. I start at verse 20 and 18, Sakya. This is it says that which he had labored for shall he restore, and shall not swallow it down. According to his substance shall the restitution be, and he shall not rejoice therein. All right, this is judgment. Okay, because he hath oppressed and hath forsaken the poor, because he had violently taken away an house which he builded not. Okay, we know who really built this house. Okay, us, our slave labor. Okay, but this dude want to be the master builder. All right, free master builder. It says, surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desired. And ultimately, this place is going to be destruction completely. All right, complete destruction. Though these people want to give bipartisan excuses of why they can't just make everything run how it's supposed to run just right. Okay? Justifiably. He ain't going to feel no blindness in his mind. All right? Because the Lord is disturbing him with the prophecies and the coming, his second coming, the appearance of his second coming. All right? He ain't going to meet thee as a man. All right? There shall none of his meat be left, therefore shall no man look for his good. All right? His meat ain't even his. It's ours. The Lord just gave him it. Gave him us ours. And really, like I say, we gonna get it all. All right? And the best. He has got, as it goes in the Rogue Man, has got the fatness of the earth and the dew of heaven. We getting everything, period. All right? In perfection. It says, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. The wicked being Imal, which goes into a sufferer or a laborer or a toiler, wretched one. All right? Who the hell's working and all that? Mainly us, Jake, right? Grinding out there. You got other nations that's suffering, okay? But this is who the wicked is talking about. You got to go back into the original languages, the Hebrew. Learn your Lashwan Kodash. Sound out the word I-ma-la, which all together is I-mal when you pronounce it. So you have it that Malah, so you have Ba, which is in. I'm just going to break it down in spirit. Ba, Malawath, which Malah goes back into being full, okay? Or sated, I think that's the word. You can look into it right now. Like when I say Inya Malah, when I like eat food sometimes, giving thanks to the Lord for basically making me full, complete, accomplished, satisfied, all right? That's a custom of us as Israelites too, Give thanks for the, you know, the food that we got, right? And I know the brother got that James. That's good. But it say ba in malawath, right? Which is going to fullness, in fullness, right? Shapakwa, which shapak or sapak. Wait, they got shapakwa. All right. I don't know why they got two different Hebrew words right here though. That's weird. Sapak, which they got chastisement. But I gotta look up this word sapak right there and see what that means. Damn. I would have to like look it up real quick. We'll go past that. And we'll get back to that. But I'm gonna finish in the Hebrew more. All right. Yatazar, right? Tazara or Yat Tazara, which is trouble, right? Yeah, Yah or is shall, and Tazara is troubles or straits. All right, like you have Jacob trouble or Yaquab Tazara. Tazara is to be troubled, right? Which goes into be bind or distressed or cramped, right? Just showing y'all some of these Hebrew words, you know, from studying and stuff and doing a lot of the different, you know, like readings and stuff, and just the Holy Spirit really. You know, it gets us to this level, especially when you got the Day of Atonement, when you fasting, you're going to be more sharp, man. You know, so y'all getting to see it, you know. Lawa to him, I think. Or he, they got Lawa. Call all or every. And you have Yud, which is hand. Imal, which is going to the laborers. It's saying in English, in the King James, wicked, but talking about the laborers, the wicked are the Edomites. All right. But anyway, going on, the rogueman. It says it says bawa'a nawa, which is bawa'a is like coming and to basically upon nawa. Like nawa usually is like us, but upon him. All right. But yeah, when he is about to fill his belly, establish this whole, you know, I'm gonna say chadash, which is going into new, and then you have I say arataza, which is earth of the land, and then you have the order. Okay, when you try to establish that, which you try to do that with this digital system, ultimately with that, you know, that micrograin, all right, the MOTB being put in your body, all right. It say the Most High shall cast fury of his wrath, the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he's eating. Okay. He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through. Ultimately, the missile is going to destroy, all right, Babylon the Great, America, all right. You know, those that's on American soil, boom. All right, it's through. All right. 6'9" or 6'6", that number for that man, E. It says, it is drawn and cometh out of the body, right? It's going to come out them silos, all right? It's going to come out them different silos where they launched out, all right? As the bow. And it's that arrow. Yeah, the glittering sword cometh out of his gall, terrors are upon him. Okay? Yeah. You know, and like it's like, hey, the scriptures be speaking in the spirit, man. You be everywhere with it. You know? It gonna be on them. Terror's gonna be on them. You out of nowhere, you might be just talking about the missiles, and then, you know, you talking about also some other terrors too. You know, with terrorists go to Ayyama. Or Ahyama, right? From Ayum, which means terror or dread, dreadful. All right, tightening or frightening, terrible. All right, they quote Habakkuk 1:7. They are terrible. Let me see what this one to. Yeah. Heavy. 1:6. For lo, I will rise up the Chaldeans, that bitter and hasty nation, which shall march through the breadth of the land to possess the dwelling place that are not theirs. Okay. Now you got these you know, with the wisest of the council, you know, within Babylon, which we have them there, witches, they're warlocks, the elite, the rich men, you know. And like I say, they got Babylon, they got America, they got the earth. All right. You know, and look what they're doing, mismanagement. They are terrible and dreadful. Their judgment and their dignity shall proceed of themselves. And we see, you know, what they do. Okay? What these heathen do. All right? Terrible things, dreadful things. You know, they look at how you have to go to work but not get paid. That's crazy. And you got bills to pay. And you got auto pay. And the bills want you to pay that still, even though you don't have the money in your account. But you're supposed to make sure you got the money because you're in America, and America is this prosperous country. Madness.
Most federal employees in El Paso will likely be deemed essential workers. That includes the Bureau of Prisons and other federal.
So if you work in a prison, you gotta, as a CO, you gotta show up to work. Okay? They got insurance on you, man.
Agencies.
18, Job 14 verse. His confidence shall be rooted out of his tabernacle, and it shall bring him to the King of terrors. The King of terrors, Yahweh Shai, man. Yahweh Shemel Shai. All right. Job 18:11. Terror shall make him afraid on every side, and shall drive him to his feet. You know, different of these different dreadful calamity immense. You know that's gonna happen. All right. Look at all like what happened with the Captain Cook Bowl. You know, you got these people angry about the, you know, the Isaiah 19 Egyptian versus Egyptian. You know, but these Chaldees, these you know, wicked you know, wise men, you know, they call themselves illuminated. You know, they done established this place, this undertaking, and they, you know, are you know, moving it forward. You know, despite the fact that the Lord is breaking it down. Okay, they require you to continue to go to work.
And that means they are going to end up having to go to work and not receive a paycheck. They're still going to have to buy groceries to feed their.
And you still got to eat, but you going to go to work. How you going to work and you don't got enough money to eat? What do I get stuff out of the, I guess out of the, you know, the money that already got paid? Or the items that's already paid for? You know?
Family, they're going to still have to pay for gas in their car so that they can drive to work.
Some people don't got cars.
They will still have to pay for childcare so that
Yeah, so they can go work all them hours that, you know, you can't be a parent for. Okay? The wicked philosophy done gave, you know, to break up families. Now you got to pay for childcare because the mother don't want to be a mother. Okay? Or the mother got to work too because you need two incomes. You know?
they can go to work, but they will not receive their paycheck.
Congressman Tony
That's
Gonzalez,
crazy.
who represents parts of El Paso,
And that's madness, right? So I mean, you know what I mean? Like I said, we just speaking truth. Call them off. I speak. You know, through the spirit. You know, we know it better than all these other people because we are the ones that have been in trouble. Okay? That's why we need a deliverance. Not he need to be destroyed. All right? The rogue man need to be destroyed. All right. We need deliverance. All right, salvation from this crap. What is he getting saved from? If you got communities that are great, you don't have to worry about getting arrested, wrongfully. The sheriff, the DA, your family got ties with the lawyers, the judges. You may have even helped fund them. Okay. The marshals, the city solicitor, the different code enforcement officers, etc. Okay. What are you afraid of? Okay. And especially if you see yourself as a God, okay, as ye do. I'm gonna show you what he afraid of. You're gonna be afraid of Yahweh Shem El Shai, the King of Terrors, as the brother put that precept, as the scriptures do say. All right. You're afraid of that second coming. All right. James 5:1. Go to now, ye rich men. All right, you elite bankers. We know who they are. Weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Okay, why do they have to continue to keep passing these fiscal budgets and stuff like that and kicking the can down the road when they don't have the money, allegedly? Right? That shows their money system is a failing system. Okay? Gold, it holds its value, man. It's precious. Your money is being devalued. Inflation. All right? Losing its value. So much being sent in circulation. Why so much when you had it where we like I said, we was able to do a lot with a little bit. Okay, I remember I had $20 and I'll be able to eat a meal, break down a meal nice. The chicken, these days I went the chicken, the chicken used to be like a whole organic chicken was like $10. Not a dang like $20 or something like that. And it's completely altered, in certain cases. I mean, you go, or even if it's not altered, you go to the Amish here in, Pennsylvania. They gave me a pound. It looked like it wasn't even a pound. It was like 8 something. And I'm like, damn, what am I supposed to do with this? Nibble on it. Y'all know what I mean. You got to pay for the unadulterated food, but then the people that's, selling it are the ones that's prospering because this is their time. This is their place. This is their manifest destiny, right? This is what they're entitled to, right? You got a lot of Amish that voted for Trump, okay, allegedly, even though he was selected. It says your gold and silver is cankered. That's y'all money system, all right? That's weak. It's not even backed by gold or silver, which doesn't rust, but we can see the evidence of its degradation. It's devaluing, right? It says, and the rest of them shall be a witness against you. Okay? It's cankered. It's a cover of a rust. It's been corroded. You can see the weakness of the dollar. You got other people dealing with other cryptocurrencies and stuff like that, and seeking the bank outside of central bankers. Doing peer-to-peer. It shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasures together for the last days. This is verse 4. The brother brought this precept. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields. Yeah, bringing in all, when we in the world, we bringing in all of the quotas. We bringing in all of the wealth. If you work at a job, You know, everybody, hey, there's insurance money involved. You know, like we was talking about the fire thing, the fireman thing. There's mad money in that. Okay? You got people that have properties, there's assets, and then there's insurance policies on these properties. Based on how the thing has happened, people can get paid off of that. Homeowners, you know, it might burn down. Hey, it hit a certain amount of destruction. Hey, the government gonna get paid. You know, they got insurance on it. Okay, I got an insurance policy, and these are for this particular place where I live in right now. They got a damage policy or something like that. Oh yeah, you should keep yours, but you know we got one too. You know, just for our sake. You know, because Jake might burn down something and not even have nothing. Hey, but they need something too to protect themselves, and they want to make out good so that they can keep their business going. They won't want to be at a loss. They want to continue to make money. And these people making millions of dollars, trillions of dollars a year, okay, are in time. Okay, however you want to play it out. You know, property managers with these multi-unit, they're making millions of dollars, man. You know, hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on what level you at. 6 figures and beyond, man. Okay? Like I said, with that, people can get paid insurance money. You got appraisers getting paid. You got restoration companies getting paid. The homeowner getting paid. Insurance company getting paid. Okay? Taxes. You know, tribute. The government's still getting paid. So like we be doing a lot of stuff, you know, and he be getting paid. Okay, Rogue Man is getting paid. But as it say, behold the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth, the Lord of armies. Okay? And you have it, like we be doing so much. Sometimes we be working so hard and we just like, damn, Lord, like please, like I just did this. It was one, I mean, last week I remember I had did this job and I'm just like, yo, like I can't believe what I just did. And I can't believe I did it. And these people, like, you know, like I say, they frauds, man. I'm like, wow. I'd be blown away too. Like, damn, I did all of that. They got more than anything out of me. And that's how slavery was. And that's how slavery still is. You know, it's not hardcore slavery, but it's a mental slavery. And hey, we bound by these contracts, you know, and these jobs. If we don't work, what we supposed to get depend on the system that's failing. And they cutting off all the different aid that we supposed to allegedly get. That wasn't even, that's not even available for me. Okay, some Jake, that's not even available for them to get certain benefits from this system. You know? Nah, we know him. Nah, this dude, he have to be in the field. We gonna make it. Look, if I take off a certain amount of time, these mugs is looking for me. Okay? Is everything all right? Because they know how certain Jake and Bucks is furthering their enterprise. All right? Though we look at it as expendable commodities. It says for fraud, it says the fraud or rob or despoil. Right, you done worked all these hours. Oh yeah, we're gonna pay you out in overtime and stuff. You end up seeing all that went to taxes per year and dues. Come on, man. You know, so it says ye have lived in pleasures on earth and been wanton, undisciplined. Ye have nourished your hearts as in the day of slaughter. All right. Ye have condemned and killed the just, and he does not resist you. Yeah, man. No, it's a lot of times, like I said, we not even like putting up a fight. We just, you know, we just trying to live and stuff, man. You just trying to get an apartment, trying to, yeah, man, they making it where, oh man, damn. Nah, we ain't gonna let you get that one. You don't qualify. All right, so then you gotta live somewhere you don't want to live at. You know, certain situations. That could be Mawath, because we know we live in the land of shadow of death. Okay? Death is all about us. Okay? Killed. Slave murder. We be getting murdered. Okay? Delete it. Yeah, ye have condemned and killed. Yeah, you damned us. Okay? With your system. To give judgment against one. All right, you gotta work, man. You are a federal government worker. You are essential. You have to keep America running. They got systems like, it's crazy how integrated these systems is. Ride a railway and go into that world. That world is serious. Okay, like I was sitting there thinking, like, you ride, you got the regular old public, which it could be public, but then you have it like they run on federal lines and stuff like that. They got contracts with, Amtrak and, the Yukon Rail running this line and all of that. We gonna run on this, particular roadway. That's all merchandising. Okay, and the elite make money off of merchandising. You people are merchandise. Understand that. The scriptures talk about that. Revelation 18. Ezekiel. They talk about how thy witness thou have and by thy traffic I have gotten thee riches, roughly paraphrasing. Okay. The scriptures talk about how with the let me see, I can get that. Revelation 18 and 13. All right. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and of fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and of all thine wood and all manner of vessels of ivory and all manner of vessels of precious wood. You got 40 and 1, right? Isaiah, Yeshaya, all right. And of brass and iron and marble and quinmon or cinnamon and odors and ointments from frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses. Look at all that money off of them Kentucky Derbies and all that. Come on. Men are beasts too, Look at them damn, the NFL players and stuff. You be happy to see them rogue men, be happy to see them general managers and all of them. They be happy to see them out there make that money and go out there and run on that field and bring that bread and circus. Yeah. It says, and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men. Yeah. You got Jake, they sell out their soul for this damn place. So, okay. Living soul. This place have made profit off of our souls. Slaves. And the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee. And all things which are dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all, because they're going to lose it all when the Lord come. And they're losing it all, okay, starting to lose it all, okay? That stronghold. Look at these damn businesses. No Rite Aid, okay? No CVS, no Walgreens in some cases. Some of the different stores, staple brick and mortar stores, you don't have no more. You go to even on some of these different websites, you can get certain stuff, but then it's like, damn, you can't even get that no more. You might not know if you can even be on a website. The internet is going in some situations. The ISP, he might dip off, man. I can't do this no more. You got these people, they fighting over your soul, your business. Okay? Revelation 18 and 15, the merchant of these things the merchants of these things, which were made rich by her, shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing. And you have a lot of these Gawayim, all right, the rest of the nations, these heathen, that, like I said, they make so much money. In the area that I'm living in right now, like I said, I'm pretty much a minority, as they would say. And they got all these type Uzbek type people and stuff like that living up in this junk, you know. It's a difference between how a block can change things too. But over in this area, like you got these from these different, Eastern European, even Arabian, mixture, Elam and all of that, and Ishmael, so-called, East Indians and so-called, and Arabs and such. You have it. These people got bread. Jake come in and they got these businesses and they live up in these different areas, and they benefiting off of our money, the merchandise. Okay, they selling chicken sandwiches every day from 11 to 11 and repeating it every day. Jake buying multiple chicken sandwiches. They getting the chicken sandwich for cheap. Might not even be chicken. All right. And they getting the chips, whether it be chips, as y'all would say, as in America, as, the potato chips, or the chips, as in UK, will be the fries. Y'all got loaded fries. Jake eating loaded. The other day I was at a cart, and Elam, it looked like Ishmael or Elam, East Indian or Ishmael, Arab. Yo, they freaking got loaded fries, and Jake ordering it. They already was doing good off of having as they call it, halal lamb and rice cart. Now they got another cart with the hot chicken and the smash burger. So now they done found another thing that Jake loved and that they can make money off of. And then that they could go and buy and get this credit. They good at the credit game, So then they can make all this money and they can get all the money, And he can tax them. They can get out of taxes and all that type of stuff. But ultimately, all the Gawayim, all these country dwellers, can make profit off of us in America and live very deliciously, live very good. That's why they're going to cry when this place is gone, because they ain't going to make money like that ever again. Okay? Y'all going to make money for us. Okay? Wealth for us. Real money, real gold, real silver, real cattle. Okay? That's what we got to look forward for. Okay? The merchant of all these, of these things, pardon me, this is Revelation 18 and 15, which were made rich by her, America, all right, that golden city, all right, the woman, going to, shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing. Okay, and like I say, this place make a whole heap of money off of Jake. The amount of white tees of Jacob buy in a store is nuts. Yeah, shalom again, to all of y'all out there. All right. Yeah, the white tees, the wife beaters, our tank tops. You got, like even the clothing, underwear. You go into Walmart, they got everything in there. The hair oil, all that, man. The food, wine, the alcohol, the beast, hey, they make money off of importing all of these animals too. Domesticating animals and stuff. New species and stuff. Crazy, man. Now, Revelation chapter 18 and 16, it says, and saying, alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. All right, which, hey, made this place regal. Okay, the royalty. People look at America like, wow, this is just the best place. I remember when I was going over, I was either coming or going to Scotland, and you had this one, the Scottish. You definitely were Jake. They was actually about, if things are dear, meaning expensive and stuff like that. And he was like asking me about the sports cars. He was like just the Mustang and all that stuff. And how he just wish he can, like we got like a lot of, like we be seeing whips like nothing in America. Some of these countries, you can't see whips like that. Some of these countries be so poor, they got to, like, look at Cuba, which is Manasseh. All right. When a Shah made to forget, I think, yeah, you're going to it. You have it. They got what, embargo and stuff. It's a communist country. It's an embargo. They can't even get certain items. Okay. Certain countries can't. They got tariffs and stuff and sanctions that prevent them from getting certain goods. You can get anything over here. I see that, like I said, these country dwellers over here, they driving already a sports car, and it's tuned on top of that. And they know how to maximize performance because they've been over there in these different countries where, like I said, they even, they know the science beyond it and stuff to really bring out the most out of that machine. Some of these people are German and of teaming, which are the Germans teaming, dealing to the, pretty much the wisest of them, excelling in manufacturing and stuff, right? You look at the Germans with the, the German sciences with the, the nuclear missiles, and you think about the different feats with the, different, engineering and stuff, or different Germans. You think of like BMW, all right. I think Mercedes. Some of the best, vehicles. You drive that to a beat. It might be expensive, but some of them items is because they built the last. It's tuned. All right. Yes, Mercedes-Benz is a German luxury car brand with its headquarters in Stuttgart, Germany. All right. Founded in 1926 through a merger of companies. Well, it got right there, but you got BMW. Some of the best engineered cars and stuff, man. Is a German car. Yes. Wait, Bayer Reach. I gotta get my German up. Motoren Work, or AG, is German multinational company in Munich, Germany. All right. But yeah, man, I've been talking a lot. I know like a lot of probably signed off by now, but hey, we going into a lot about Babylon. Okay, and understanding the government shutdown, understanding how the system goes, and we at the end of it, and we thankful, like, our latter end is gonna be better than our beginning. Okay, we got perfection to come. All right, it's about 1:55. Here, Yom Kippur. Wednesday, October the 1st. You got that whole, speaking of them so-called Germans and such, you got Oktoberfest, right? What is that? Okay, it's the world's largest Volksfest. Combines beer with a fun fair, and is held in Munich. Okay, on the what's that? The Resues, I can't pronounce that, Slovakia. Let me see if I can get that. Well, they can pronounce it, but from mid-September to first Sunday in October, right? You know, I got a German bakery that's here, and they celebrating it. So the first Sunday in October, that's like, that'd be for this week then, you know? September 20 to the first Sunday in October. If October German Unity Day falls that after that Sunday, the festival continue until the holiday. So, you know, they got that going on, and you know, this is, you know, this is, you gotta look into what this go back to. You know, but you know, I look up into it, but a lot of it is just, you know, feasting, feast days, celebration. Okay. You know, it had to be to some type of God. All right. But yeah, man. So I'm going to go back to this Revelation. And it says, and this is verse 16, and it's saying, alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, for in 1 hour so great riches. What do you say about Oktoberfest? Oktoberfest. What do you say about Oktoberfest? It's come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company and the ships, sailors, and as many as trade by sea stood far off and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? Like, say, for example, this particular family, like I said, they doing that Oktoberfest. They esteem themselves. They got a German bakery that's here in Philly. I was scared to even go in the damn place because I'm like, damn, that shit look proper. But upon going in there, the stuff was very cheap, no taxes on it, and of a high quality, right? You know, some super duper homemade, you know, official, authentic recipes and stuff. But even that is now being compromised because the tariffs, things ain't like how it used to be. The ingredients, the food, people trying to make a profit, you know? A lot of these different businesses were able to make a profit. Their money go back way back. But now that money is drying up. Okay, and got to get coughed up. The Lord's requiring that. Okay, they're going to vomit up these riches. You know? But yeah, let me see what he was saying about that Oktoberfest. And he had got that Isaiah 40:1. Comfort ye, made people. Let me see. I'm gonna pull it up. Isaiah chapter 40. Isaiah 40:1. It says, comfort ye, my people, said your power. Right. Speak ye comfortably to Jerusalem. All right, let's look into that. Speak ye comfortably unto Jerusalem. Comfortably meaning heart. All right. Which reflections and memory. Okay, with heart, with moral character, right? Which we come in with the highest, okay, of all right behaviors. Okay, by telling you the truth, telling you what's the right and the wrong, so that you don't get destroyed. All right, so we are speaking comfortably. Some people want us to speak comforts to not tell them of the wickedness or the destruction to come. We're not giving you that. We're speaking comfortably so that you can know, okay, of the what? The complete truth from a place of moral character, the highest of all moral character or virtue. That's why we men and we prophets, okay? The prophets of Yahweh Shem Shai have the highest moral character because they have the virtues Okay, the law, statutes, commandments, and they doing it to the best of their ability. Speak ye comfortably, and they the chief examples, all right, our envoys on behalf, okay, of the Lord, Yahweh Shai, okay, so that you can follow, starting with our apostle, so you can follow the right way to be delivered. Speak ye comfortably to Jerusalem, and cry unto her that her warfare is accomplished, that her iniquity is pardoned, for she had received Yahweh's of Yahweh's double hand double for all her sins, man. Oh, it's a lot that we done went through. All right. Go to double. You got Kapal, which goes into just the duplicate, you know. Like we in slavery right now. I'm like damn, like we went to slavery again, like freaking mental slavery and this. It's crazy, man. But we at the end of it, you know. We waking up to who we are, and we seeing the Lord's greatness. All right. Yeah, the voice of him that crieth in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of Yahweh, make straight in the desert a highway for our Lord. Okay? Amen. Such as John the Baptist, making a way for Yahweh Shai, you know, being forerunners. All right? Which the prophets are what? They're heralds to bring in the good news of the kingdom. All right? Right, the voice, it says the voice of him, verse 4. Every valley shall be exalted, and every mountain and hill shall be made low. The Lord's bringing down every mountain and hill. All right? These different countries, these governments. Okay? Look at American government shutdown. Day one. Come on. All right? That's how the Lord is bringing down every mountain and hill. All right? Made low. Let's look up what the word for low is. The word low, Barbariath in the Hebrew, is shapal, going into to be humiliate and show abasement, to be low or humble. All right. Yeah, we supposed to be making the place great, but we showing that our government. Why is there a government shutdown under Donald Trump? Just tell me that. Okay. Why is there a government? Why is the American people becoming a country where people don't want to live anymore?
And what's worse is I have lost hope too. And how can I possibly be of service to someone else if I don't believe it's not going to get any better? So what she's doing is saving herself, packing up her bags, and moving abroad. This is where
the scriptures talk about everyone turning to their own people and own country, roughly paraphrasing, like Isaiah 13.
This real estate agent in Costa Rica sees it every day. Americans leaving their country because they feel desperate. What stands out
this place going down
most is her story about a psychiatrist who said, I have lost all hope. My patients have lost hope. And what's worse is I have lost hope too. Imagine that. A mental health professional.
That's the people languishing. Right? That's Isaiah, they tell you. Okay? That's Isaiah 24 chapter. One of my favorite precepts where it says that Isaiah 24:4, it says, the earth mourneth and fadeth away. The world languisheth and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. All right? A lot of the Babylonian Americans are haughty. Okay? Marum, which Marum, or Rowam, Marum, from the root Rowam, which would be to be lifted up, right? To be proud, elevated, right? I'm from America, I'm an American. You know? If you go to certain countries, just saying you're American, people are blown away by it. Like, I show up in Glasgow. They're like, damn, he's from America? Oh my God. Like, I'm like the best, like, dang, like, like they never seen, like they like, wow, like it's just like he be there. Then you tell them where you from or where you be at, they like blown away. Like, yo, we just see that on TV. I'm in the flesh now, but I ain't use that to lift myself up. That actually kept and contributed to me finding out who I was. Okay. We are different people. Seeing them other nations over there claiming asylum, which are heathen, all right, natural Hamites and stuff. And then me seeing that and them looking at me, and I'm like, yeah, they see that we definitely different, even though we both got, visage of having dark skin and stuff like that. But hey, spiritually, they know we different. All right, these people know, they know what the difference between a real Hamite and a real Jake. All right, a real, I'm actually an Ephraimite, but I look like like some people would say I'm more probably like I had a heathen tell me I'm not a damn. He said, you Miranda, you really black, like meaning like a Judah, or one of the West Indian or Haitian, other tribes, but not knowing that Ephraim, is a cake unturned, right? Roughly paraphrasing. We got the light and the dark skin, all right, of the so-called Puerto Ricans and such. All right. But he told me, just like, yo, nah, man, you ain't that. And they knew my whole, he was trying to tell me my whole history. So the heathen, how East Indian gonna tell me my whole history? You don't know my history. You ain't living my life. That's what you got from being told, and that books are written and such. My history is in them scriptures. All right. Our history is in them scriptures. That's how we coming up. All right. It says the earth mourneth and fadeth away. Right? Well, man, why would somebody want to leave America where everybody want to come? You got some people, life dream is to come to this damn place. You got these Dominicans over here, which is other 12 tribes of Israel, right? You got some of them, which is be the tribe of Shemaiwan or Simeon, all right? They come over here and it's like, they like really loving it. Like the chicks, like they can make all the money because they was making money, like, but it was not much, just the tourism over there. But now they can get cars, they can get house, they can go to the nightclub, get the prestige of all of the, Ephraim has mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned. Yep, Hosea 7 and 8. Yeah, they getting all of the social credit. They got businesses, they come over there and they like I said, they got barbershops now. Like, yo, like it's crazy. Like they got the corner store game, it never used to be Ephraim with the corner store game. Now that Dominicans done took that joint over, you see the flags everywhere. They done turn a pizza shop. How you turn a Kennedy chicken spot into a Dominican eating spot? I never seen this in my life. Okay. And run that joint. It might be getting that off food stamp and off of some type of aid. Crazy. Right? The earth mourneth and fadeth away. Nabal goes into being foolish. We can see how crazy this place look. All right? Wither and fail. It's sinking. Like a bad BBL. Right? Yeah. The world languisheth and fadeth away. All right, language, Amal, going again to what? Being droop and weak. All right. People, I lost hope in this place. America is becoming a country where people don't even want to live no more. Passport bros, I don't want to be in Babylon no more. I want to be elsewise. Like I said, I have my passport. And like I said, I'm in Babylon. The only thing keeping me in Babylon right now is the truth. Otherwise, I'd be gone. All right? I would have been long gone, too. And I would have just came back to do my business and just be, somewhere else. But this place is gross altogether. We ain't got no continuous city. We ain't got no rest here. You seen Terrence Howard, what happened, or that Crawford, whatever his name is, and you see Terrence Howard. He'll tell you how it is. He got a gun put right to his face, being a world championship, world esteemed boxer, world class. Do you understand what world class come with? Okay? You can be not world class and people be looking at you in high esteem, let alone being a world champion, world class, current, and you still getting a gun pulled to your face for being a Jake under the curses. Okay? The hatred being towards you.
Whose job is to help people find hope, has given up on America.
There's no healing for Babylon. If the brother want to give that, you can put it up.
Let's hear from someone.
Or Nahum, the 3rd chapter, you'll see there's no healing for the bruise, basically. Yeah, the Nahum is quicker to the point.
Actually made the leap.
I left America 6 months ago, and my life is infinitely better.
Yep, so you got these expats, man. You know, they going to Brazil. They going overseas to these different countries and living better lives, man. They money, they might have it, but they money, they in the she in the witchcraft. Look, she got the she got like an eye on there, like an all-seeing eye type deal. She got the tattoos and stuff. You know,
Let's talk about
she might have got a college degree. She know a little bit about financing. She knows some different things. She know how to make money online, etc.
First things first, I've talked about this in other videos, but it cost me around $1,000 to leave the States, which is significantly less money than I ever anticipated.
Right, with a one-way ticket, that's $1,000. Because you know there's certain airfare costs can be, you know, go to Hawaii or something. You know, some of these different places can be very expensive just to leave Babylon, America.
And I think it's a really important thing for everyone to be talking about, that it actually costs a lot less than you might think to leave the U.S.
Right, because that might be one of the reasons why you haven't left. Oh, well, I can't afford it. How I'm gonna be able to you know, leave? Only $1,000. It could be cheaper, depending where you're going.
Since moving abroad, these are the things that have improved in my life. First and foremost, my physical health is infinitely better.
Better food, better environment, better weather, certain cases where you live in, better moods, you get better treatment. Yeah, man, she's still wearing makeup, but, you know, the different lifestyle, different areas promote you to be better. This place promotes you to be fat, lazy, and, you know, entitled. Karen, Keisha. You know, you looked at being in shape. Some of these other nations, I look at these Russians and all these other different from these Caucasus regions and stuff. These dudes already looking strong and stuff, and it's just standard. Or they just look tall and like manly. They got the beards, you know. You're like, dang, okay. He show up on the scene, you already see his man dealing. He austere look on his face. He about business. You know?
Why?
Nahum 3:7-19. There is no healing of thy bruise, right? Dealing with here, this is spiritually Nineveh, all right? Assyria. Thy wound is grievous. All that hear the birth of thee shall clap the hands over thee. Okay?
The food is better. The air quality is better.
For upon whom hath not thy wickedness passed continually. Due to the image of the beast, due to its philosophies, okay, this system has infected everybody. The American way, the democracy. All right, they promote not being faithful. You know, promote being, of course, adulterer. Promote being idolater, worshiping other gods. Being selfish. All right? Promote not believing in a power. Or if you believe in a power, believe in a false power. You know? Self over the Most High. They promote lies. They promote robbery. Okay? Just some things part of that image. All right, this false system.
I'm happier.
Or the beast. All right, NATO and the EU. All right, spearheaded by the woman America, the woman that rideth on the scarlet colored beast. All right.
I'm less stressed out. Medicine and healthcare is way more affordable. Like,
you have some countries that you could get a lot of these medicines over the counter, straight, cheap. And you have in some of them countries, they got no healthcare costs. They have, you know, free healthcare.
we're talking apples and oranges.
And cheap healthcare. You could get certain procedures done. You got people that do medical tourism and go to a country and get major procedures done for cheap as hell. Just put it that way. Or this insurance kill it. Yeah, that's a good precept. Yep, nice. You know, it's a real good precept to go with the Jeremiah. You know, no healing for thy bruise.
People are nicer here.
Yeah, people got a different spirit.
They are happier here.
People miserable here in Babylon, America. All right? You got some damn miserable chick. As soon as you show up on a scene, like I showed up doing a job one time. This Keisha woman, she's so angry. Like, I'm just like, yo, like, why? Because America is bitter. That's what it is. Marar in Hebrew. Right? You have been collecting tariffs. No need for a government shutdown. Correct. Janine Tabib or Tabai that put up. You know? Right. But they got that. Okay? Those tariffs and fees and such that they're going to continue to collect. All right? The usury, the interest on everything. Shouldn't it be able to keep the government running, right?
Significantly easier to cultivate community in a place where people are trusting and loving.
You got some places you don't even got to worry about getting robbed. Okay? Some of these countries, like, you could go to, like they said, like in Thailand and stuff, you don't got to worry about that. These people go through the deepest of, diligence just to make sure you safe in some cases. You know? You might not get that here. Stop taking money to finish building your underground bunkers. Nah, they gonna continue. Them bunkers, a lot of them are already built for them. You know? As it's saying Obadiah. You know? Because remember, they want to escape the destruction. Obadiah, the first chapter, tells you that damn, I got low power. I gotta connect this to something. But damn, I definitely don't want to quench the spirit. Give me one. I want to probably let y'all keep. Hold on, just wait for y'all. Me. Hold on. Slack it. All right, slap. Get a power brick or something. And let me know, like, if this live stream was good for y'all, like, meaning, like, connection wise, you know, because it's the first time I'm basically, you know, working with it, with this particular new internet connection at a different dwelling. But yeah, so the scriptures say how it's loud and clear, and like nothing through this whole stream hasn't like broke up or choppy or anything. You know, because I could, you know, start doing more of these like this too. Because I know I do like pre-recorded stuff, but I like to switch it up too. All right, that's good. All right, so it say, what's that precept? Yeah, so this Obadiah chapter 1 and 4 says, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. All right, we know, you know, this place has different dwellings, okay? They got different, you know, dwelling satellites, you know, space station type deals in the firmament. You know, they went up, allegedly. I mean, well, they went up with the different Apollo missions and stuff. They didn't go to the moon, but, you know, they went up. But, you know, since those different missions out there in the, you know, late 60s, 70s, the Lord been bringing this place down. The truth has came out, you know. Lord waking up, you know, Abba Bibbins, you know, which we believe is John the Baptist coming back to return the children back to their fathers, you know, this truth, and we woke up, you know. But they got different you know, dens, and you know, they're gonna get dug up, man. This is Revelation 6 and 15. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, the chief captains, and the mighty men, every bondman and every free man, hide themselves in dens and in the rocks of the mountains. Okay? And said to the mountains, fall upon us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. All right, you got different dwellings. Like I said, these guys got, like she mentioned, you know, the different what is that, like bunkers and such. Let me see. Let me check on this, who this particular individual is. Taking money to finish building your bunkers. Yeah, I mean, they got, like, you see, like the Hive, or you reading like the Resident Evil. You know, you'll see in Resident Evil, they got, in some of these movies, they'll show you the Hive. You know? Multi-layered dwellings, man, with all type of things up in it. Okay? Laboratory, they got all type of stuff. Look at, you can look at the Colony. So there's a lot of different things. They got the, what is that other movie? They got different movies that show the bunkers and stuff. You know? But yeah, going back to, I'm trying to get back to the topic where we was at. Oh, we was back at with the people begging and they languishing. So how she talking about is better in these other countries, you know?
Pathetic and kind. And I cannot stress this enough. My central nervous system is relaxed and calm for the first time in my life.
For just $1,000, this person changed their life. They found better health, cleaner air, affordable health care, and maybe most importantly, a sense of calm for the first time.
Peace.
This isn't just about moving to a new country. It's about getting away from a system that is
Look at that. West Health Gallup report. 44% of Americans give poor or failing grades to the U.S. healthcare system. Right. I'll say that in rating them themselves, and also the grades that they got on their actual health, for that you would, you know, if you went and tested, you know, these individuals, you got the individual. They got a Jake at my job. He can't even. I'm giving him stuff on a truck, and he can't. Like he's sitting there acting like he winded, like he done ran a marathon or something. I'm like, dude, I'm handing you the material, so it's not like you have to lift it. And if you do have to lift it, you shouldn't be out of breath, because I'm not. But he's in America and he's eating. You know, he eating the chips. He eating the, you know, the cookies. He's eating, you know, the platters and stuff like that, even though he barely can afford them. You know, he got to work every day, as he said, you know, just to afford him, you know, to live in his mom's house and, you know, be able to take care of a daughter, you know, that his mom don't want to take care and help him with. So he's a single dad as they go into.
making people sick. Speaking of healthcare, let's talk about how broken the American system has become.
Just when I thought I couldn't be any more disappointed in the healthcare system in this country, it's reached a new low. Now, at the beginning of checkups, when they ask you, do you drink any alcohol? How many drinks a week do you have? That costs money now. That is considered an
Fees. What do scriptures talk about? Let's get it real quick. You got it. You go to, I think that might be subject to payments. It's either Wisdom of Solomon or Wisdom of Solomon or Baruch. Yeah, so this is Baruch chapter 3 and 8. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity. So we still in slavery. All right, we still captive. Still in straits. Where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments according to all, right? Yeah, that's a good precept. The iniquities of our fathers which had departed from the Lord our power. Okay? Yeah, subject to payments. Like, so like even when you go to a doctor, you know, I went to a damn, dentist. They were trying to get me to finance finance an operation that I didn't even want. Trying to persuade me to do it. Talking about what can you afford? I could do cash. I could pay credit. I could pay debit. I'm like, what? Then he ran my credit. Once he ran the credit, he seen that, he's like, why? I'm like, I don't got no credit. And he was like, why? And he's like, and I was like, I don't know. Nobody ever told me about it. And he was like, well, it stops. It basically makes it where it having no credit basically would make lenders not want to lend to you. Okay? They say bad credit is better than no credit, something like that. Which I supposed to have a credit. You arseholes, I pay all my bread anyway. You don't have nothing. But in having no debt, they want you to have debt. All right? Or they want to see the ability that you can pay your debts. Well, get your system. They know what I do. Get your system together, E. E don't teach us nothing about that stuff. Right? How to leverage credit systems and all that type of stuff. All right, get you a car payment. That'll automatically, if I already got me a car and had a car payment, I would have already financed and paid the damn thing off, and that would have made me a great person to lend to. So you can put interest on there and make money off of. All right? But all of these different things, there's fees in there. Where? Oh, we think that because we're workers, they have insurance on us. All right, to keep us working, and they have perks and benefits, all right, so that we can continue to work. Oh, yeah, if you work for our company, we're going to make sure that you get your teeth, and make sure you can get, make sure you get dental coverage. Hey, if you got to go to get this operation, we may cover 20% of it. And, make sure that, hey, if there's a funeral, we'll definitely pay some of those percentages, but we want to keep you alive. Okay? And they want to invade and know about your health too. They want to invade and go past, infringe on your privacy and stuff like that. Oh, yeah, and, we want to keep healthcare costs low, so we're going to invent this particular system which you can put your biometrics in, and we will take these different health incentives so that you can save $500 a year. That's what they be doing, man. But it's just to hold you down. You can even do the things, the different target, challenges, and they still, oh, well, actually, you didn't do it by this deadline. Or actually in their system, oh, well, actually, we need your money, so we don't want you to save that $500. We want to take it out, and somebody pocketed it somewhere. You getting excuses with HR and people that's, oh, I'm just on my own entering it, and you had to submit this and that. Dude, look, run the card. Run the card. If I'm telling you I went there to go to receive health care, and I can ask them, if I can show you, why the hell I got to do all of this? electronic. Oh yeah, you gotta. Come on, man. You know, and they don't honor our word, so it's just like whatever, man. You know, that's why the system just wicked, man. We looked at as the liars, right? Am I your byword, as Job would say? All right, this is Obadiah 1:7. It says, all the men of thy confederacy, thy union, have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee, and there is none understanding them. Yeah, you know, they that eat thy bread, you take your aid. Hey, that aid, you know, the benefit package is only, you know, made it worse for you because these nations are coming against you. These nations are in confederacy and creating different unions to beat you at your own game. But ultimately, the Lord's going to destroy you because it's his game. Okay? You know, European powers have been at top. You know, America been at top. You know, been at top. You know, and it's time for the rogue man to go down. All right? And using your own counseling. All right?
Alcohol screening, and like everything else in this country, it costs.
You have the world reserve currency status. All right? You lend with different IMF, you got International Monetary Fund, you got World Bank, and all these different, you know, bank lending out, helping member countries, etc. You know, you come try to be, of course, a philanthropist and all that. You know, come on. Yeah, we're the greatest. We do charity, man. We relieve them of this. Set up a whole healthcare system in the country just to charge the people some way.
Absurd amount of money. I was charged $50 for these 2 questions. $25 a pop. That's pretty good money. There was no warning that I was.
And he will look that stuff up. Well, how did you get to this? You know, Jake, we sign sometimes, like when we, you know, sign our consent to different things, we don't be reading them different contracts we, you know, they be giving us when we go to these health clinics and stuff like that. You thinking it's free? It's somebody paying it for it some way. We gonna pay. We already done paid for the crap. You know, they ain't no so-called free healthcare in America. You could go to a health clinic, but you being an experiment on, right? Yeah, we'll draw. We want STD tests. Yeah, just come here. We'll run the blood and everything. Somebody getting paid. Some doctor getting paid for that job. You know, that's coming out of alleged taxpayer dollars, right?
Being given a test that was going to cost me money. It was just kind of casual conversation, the type of thing that you do before every appointment ever. My insurance didn't cover this appointment, so I was paying in cash out of pocket. Maybe that's why I'm seeing it for the first time. Maybe it's always been this way.
And that's going in somebody's pocket. That $50 going in cash to somebody. Straight. Come on. Insurance getting all that money too.
Really reached this level of greed? Have we really reached this level of nickel and diming? Every single thing. I can't take it anymore. When I was in Portugal, I went on a wine tour, and a girl on our wine tour sprained her ankle. She fell down some stairs, and the tour guide was so concerned about her safety. He's like, I'll call you an ambulance and you can get some x-rays taken. She was all like, no, that'd be way too expensive. He's like, no. Like, an ambulance here costs like €8, and the x-rays cost maybe another 8. I don't know how accurate those numbers.
You know how much that costs, an ambulance? Yo, Jake, no, like, yo, you 200, 300, yo, you can't get an ambulance. People get shot by guns in America, and they take, you know, they'll like I said, they get shot by a gun. They'll take a private car or walk into the ER. People don't even go to ER. They go in at ready clinics, private clinics and stuff for emergency treatment because they can't even get service when they go to a regular hospital. Community hospital, come on.
Numbers were, but they seemed ballpark.
And in these other countries, it's dollars. Come on, man.
It was like,
they got better systems because it'd be E countries. Portugal, E. All right? Old money in there to benefit their people.
My God, can I go on the ambulance for fun? Meanwhile, here you're asking me how many glasses of wine I have a week and charging me more than like a top shelf fancy bottle. I'm not blaming the doctors.
Then you're being categorized as being an alcoholic, and now you have to enter the some type of alcoholic program down the line. If you're a smoker, you shouldn't be smoking, polluting your temple. You gotta take this tobacco program.
I think the system here is just so irreparably broken, and I cannot wait to find myself in a different country where I have health care. Because as a healthy young male in the United States of America, I can't find it.
$50 for 2 simple questions about alcohol use. In Portugal, an ambulance and x-rays together cost about 60.
Isaiah 52:1. Awake. All right, you get roused out by this truth. Put on thy beautiful garments. This righteousness, this truth, this knowledge. All right. O Jerusalem, the holy city. Yeah, we are the holy city. For henceforth there shall be no more come into thee uncircumcised and the unclean. You're going to have in the kingdom, like I say, everything going to be proper. There's going to be segregation. We're going to have workers that just going to work. And we know their designation of what they are and what we are. We are the princes of power, Yashar Allah. Okay? And we ain't going to get sick, so we don't need a healthcare system for us. They going to need healthcare because they ain't going to be perfect.
€15.
The Lord is wiping away our tears and sorrow, man.
If you can't afford to get hurt in your own country, something is deeply wrong.
Yeah, I can't. Even if I did get hurt, I don't even know if I broke my ankle. I'll just say I sprained it, but I never went to I'm scared. Verse 2: Shake from the dust, arise and sit down, O Jerusalem. Loose thyself from the bands of thy neck, O captive daughter of Zion. Right. So, hey, loose thyself from the bands of thy neck, do a lot of these oppressions, for believing in the system, the oppressions mentally, that believing that, this is the only way, to be, like you have some Jake, they'll be like, well, we gotta understand this system, to completely, we gotta beat them at their own game, Let's become doctors and lawyers and, then let's just set up our own, 10 or, community. When we can't even do that, they destroy and infiltrate everything that we do. Okay. They say assemble yourself, O nation not desired. They don't want us to come together because if we do come together, which we doing it as the hopeful elect, that's their doom.
This person.
So shake out of the dust being the confusion. Come out of the confusion.
Reaction, can I go on the ambulance for fun? Really shows how absurd American healthcare costs.
Higher health premiums. And you got to do different things to keep them lower, allegedly.
Become. But it gets worse.
I just watched a video about how this woman refinanced her home and how...
Dude, you refinance your home, allegedly, I'm taking out equity. Dude, you just put more debt on there. I'm not a real estate bull, but that's debt. I think my mom did that. The house was supposed to be already paid off.
Basically, she is going to owe way more money than she already owed. Even though her payments are getting lowered, she's still going to owe more money.
So it's just a trick. We're going to lower because we refinance. Oh, man, things are getting tough. Well, let's just restructure. Mortgage mean mawath or, mort, like death, right? Let's just refinance. Look up that. What does refinance mean? If you can't deal with it, they will seize your property too. Put it up for sheriff sale. Refinance. Finance. Meaning to a resettlement. A retribution. a repayment, a re-expense. The notation of ending by satisfying something that is due. All right? You might have it where, oh man, if you don't do this, we're going to come with a settlement and lien, and you're not going to be able to, have that no more. Well, let's refinance. Allegedly take all the equity out, and then, we'll get cheaper. You get some cash, you might get, be able to stay in your house and things of that sort. But then ended up you still more of a debt, say, when you would have got out earlier. If you was able to find some type of means that for the money that paid them. Cause look, I'm leasing a damn spot that's almost $16,000 just for 1 year lease. If I took that money, and if you say like I've been renting for since 2018, and take all that money that been spent, that definitely would be a so-called price for a home, of some sort. Come on. But these landlords got all that money. But we, like I said, we do know we pilgrims. But, it's money that, as they keep telling me, oh, that's money you could use on a house.
And talking about how it's such a scam. Yeah, pretty much everything in America is a scam. So
Right, and you think you're Nahum, right? Always my favorite precept. I bring this precept out like all the time. Woe to the bloody city. It is full of lies and robbery, and the prey departeth not. Hell yeah, man, we got to get generations of wealth, man. Let's get together, brothers. Getting all these properties together, and look, then we gonna flip them, and we gonna do. Then he became a scammer. The damn real estate dude that's a Jake, he became a scammer and a slumlord. And injurious. Come on, dude. I hate it. Okay? Lies and robbery. Pequod. Parad. Parach. Slakia. Parach. Which means for robbery, a parting of ways. Breaking in upon. Okay? A crossway. Okay? Robbery. Lies. The falsehood. Chakash. Right? Micah 2 and 10, we know that. Arise ye, depart, for this is not your rest, because it's polluted. It shall destroy you even with a sword destruction. You get destroyed trying to, with this system. I be driving myself mad, when I think about it. Like, I be like, man, like, I just want to get out of Babylon, It's here. It's nothing else. Right? I'm sitting there thinking, I'm not trying to covet, because you think about Babylon, they want you to covet other people's stuff. I want to be like this man over here. Nah, I just want mines. What's really mines is the kingdom. I just want to get out of here.
So health insurance, we pay $500 a month for health insurance, all right?
I don't pay nothing like that. And who can pay $500 a month on some health insurance? If I take out $500 a month and the rent and the utilities and my living costs, what bread do I got? If you add a car and all of that, come on, man. Because that's a rogue woman. She got it different. She could be Jake still, but a lot of them, they got it real easy. $500 a month. Oh yeah, they paying for their kids to go to school. What Jake got money to pay for their kids to go to school? Come on, just to go to school. And you got some of these damn rogue people, they paying for their kid just to go to the school, knowing they just going to work a regular job and be subpar in performance. They don't even show up to work. He goes out to drink beer on a weekend, every weekend. But he want to get a raise because based on, which this particular individual I'm thinking about is an actual Jake, I believe. But he just, been cursed to have the lacking of the melanin, is a ginger kid, so-called Irish, but yeah, he didn't paid all that money for him to go to school, and he just working at a regular job, and then you got you know, DEI, what do you call it? Like the diversity, equity, inclusion, or whatever that is. Methods that have other dudes above you. Apparently, black and brown can go above you, even though you're supposed to have the privilege. You know, even though you are an Israelite foreigner, it's crazy. You know, you got certain secret societies that are supposed to help their so-called Irish brothers, right? And not helping this guy. He's being passed up. That show you how he hurts his own, you know, and he's a true niggard. All right. Oh Lord, this is Sirach chapter 36 or Ecclesiasticus chapter 36 and 12. Have mercy upon the people that is called by thy name, and upon Israel, whom thou hast named thy firstborn. Yes, sir.
But then you have a deductible. Some things apply to the deductible, some things don't.
Right.
You have a copay every time.
Right. Dennis. Well, you have to use in-network doctors. All right, but these in-network doctors can only do these things. But if you enter this policy, the elite prime, you know, you can get, you know, this coverage of this amount, you know. So you got it. It's like you picking the lesser of two evils, which is both evil anyway.
That you go, but there's like a max allotted copay. So mine is $2,000.
Yeah, zero copay, but you know, look who you got to deal with. Come on.
Person, but at like a family max, I think of 5,000 or something like that. Anyway, so I pay $25, you know, when I go see a regular doctor, $50 if it's a specialist, $25 like for my therapy.
Crazy.
But if I hit that $2,000 out of pocket, then they cover everything. All right. So you're telling me I pay $500 a month, and then I have a $2,000 out of pocket pay, and then you'll cover everything at 100% as long as it's covered. But that doesn't apply to prescription medication. That only applies to like doctor's visits and things like that. Don't get me wrong, I have pretty good insurance, and I'm very privileged to have insurance, especially in America. But that's insane.
I probably got better insurance than I'm drawing. I don't even use that junk. That man, this is not. But that's just sapiens. What's that? That's just nothing but you know, you go into that. That's a whole different form of medicine, man. But I ain't gonna talk about that. This isn't medical information. You can do what you want to do. Participate in the American, you know, dream and American healthcare if you do wish. Okay.
Like, that's crazy. Everything is a scam in America, and the new American dream.
Give that precept, Lord will. It talk about how the children shall be reproached. All right. Damn, I gotta see if I can find it. The children will complain. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 41:7. The children shall complain of an ungodly father. Ungodly father being that rogue man. All right. Adawam. We know who that is. The wicked. Because they shall be reproached for their sake. Yeah, everybody looking at y'all like, damn, man. You know, hey, you casting all this shame on you because, you know, you're wicked. All right? You're wicked and your father is wicked. So you taking the shame of your father. All right? Because you got to pay for your father's misdeeds, which you are your fathers. All right, your forefathers that set this stuff up. And y'all see the doom of your fathers.
It's to leave.
Isaiah 14. You can read different precepts on that.
$500 a month for insurance, a $2,000 deductible, and co-pays, and
nobody ain't got no $2,000 up front. Come on.
Even then, it doesn't cover everything.
And you might need something special. Nah, actually, that doesn't cover it. Well, actually, we're not going to cover it, but if you sign up, we will, you know, give you maybe with such and such APR interest or blah, blah, blah. If you can pay it off this quick or blah, blah, blah. Just get you in debt. All right? So as the scriptures say, the borrower is servant to the lender. All right? See a cross-reference. All right. I got one Isaiah as well. Proverbs 22:7, the rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. You know, and you're going to be servant to that usury, that interest. Okay? A lot of good precepts you can get too, but we'll just keep going. Like I said, Yom Kippur, just doing it. I mean, like I said, I ain't quenching the spirit, so I'll just keep going through the spirit.
As she says, everything is a scam in America. And the new America.
Look at this. Do Americans still believe the American dream is possible? PEW or Pew Research Center. 53% say it's still possible. And that's witchcraft. Right? It's not possible. Like, this place is through. And that's like America. Say I shall be a lady forever. Right? Dude's sitting there thinking that. Anybody know that? I think that's in Isaiah 47. This is Isaiah 47:5. I mean, you can read it at the top. It says, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no more throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate." This place is going to be thrust through. All right? Not going to be untouchable. Sitting in the confusion. Virgin daughter of Babylon dealing with America. All right? Hey, the rulership, hey, that's thrown out the way. All right? Y'all about to be overthrown. All right? You wicked elite, y'all going down. All right? Take millstones and grind meal, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness, your sins, your injustices shall be uncovered. Right, America is nothing but a robbery. Look at all these fees. Thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. The Lord is coming back. All right, yeah, thy shame shall be seen. Look at this. Look at these numbers. Look at this research. Okay? They giving you research, you know? Dudes is looking out. Oh, yeah, man. 50-something. Let me see. Let me look at that real quick again. 53% believe that it's still possible. And that's witchcraft. 41% once possible, but not no more. It should be higher. Never possible, 6%. Okay. Let's go back. Isaiah 47 again. It says, "As for our Redeemer, Yahweh of hosts is his name, the Lord, the Holy One of Israel. Sit thou silent and get thee into the darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms." Okay? I was wroth with my people. I polluted my inheritance and given them into thine hand. All right, the Israelites. Thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancient thou hast very heavily laid thy yoke. All right, look at how, like I say, I'm dreading having to go to work at 4 a.m. That's a yoke, because I gotta work to make money so that I can pay E. All right, or make sure that, like, yeah, okay, that's good that you can have this money so that you could pay E and, maybe have some extra money just to do certain stuff, And thou says, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it. And that's E's pride. Okay? E got a very much pride. Like, we're the greatest country. We're never gonna go down. We're even the greatest nation since our inception. This dude been prospering even before it's being made a country. Okay, it being under British rule and such, and the mother, being Britain of America. But even the mother is gonna be ashamed of you. All right. I haven't went to that precept in a long time, but it talk about, I think it's in Jeremiah or something like that. It says, shall be confounded. I forget how it go. It says, what's that precept go? It's a precept that talk about shamed or something like that. Brother know it, they can get it, but yeah, let me just keep going. Therefore, this is verse 8. Hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thine heart, I am in none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, and one day the loss of children and widowhood, they shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries, this witchcraft, these tricks, all right, this fraud, and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. Yeah, because you suffer not a rich to live. The Lord's going to burn these witches, okay, that rule this country, that set up this country, all right, the bankers, all right, place got to be cleansed.
American dream is to leave. When people with so-called good insurance still can't afford health care, the system isn't just broken, it's predatory.
Right, predatory lending.
But perhaps the most devastating
They preying on you, man, to get you.
reason people are leaving involves our children.
I've said before that there are a lot of reasons we chose to move out of the country, but this reason in particular was by far the most
An intruder drill for a 4-year-old child. Moving to Mexico and why we're leaving the U.S.
Solidified all the reasons on why me and my family are leaving the United States, but it's also been very, very scary at the same time. A lot of you have been commenting with your support, which I'm really grateful. I keep getting this question over and over about, like, how are you going to work legally? Are you a temp resident? So please watch our other videos. Yes, I am a temp resident. My son has Mexican citizenship now.
Yeah, so some of these different countries allow it easier for you to assimilate in their country, because having you as so-called America is going to make it better for their country to flourish. Having you expats and stuff over here spending American money, I mean, even bringing more influence and more people to come to the country, that's going to benefit their country. Simple as that. More tourism, more people moving to the country is going to benefit their economy. More fees you can charge the country for you coming over there. There's corruption when you deal with immigration. So definitely, there's money in that. Overall, like, everybody's trying to get fat, okay? But this place is true. She just said that one of her offspring had citizenship?
Are you a temp resident? So please watch our other videos. Yes, I am a temp resident. My son has Mexican citizenship now. My husband was born and raised in Mexico.
So there you go. She done got with an Issacharite. It could be an Israelite. Could be a heathen. Because we got our some of the Issacharites, like I said. Remember, he did oppress and rape and rob us, and he mingled his seed amongst us. But she got with Issachar. She got a taco bowl. And like, she allowed her then to get certain perks when dealing with transitioning over or immigrating immigrating to that country, Mexico, and leaving the U.S., where you always will have your U.S. citizenship, right?
college in Mexico. He's only been here 10 years, and he's a green card holder, so rightfully so.
You got both rights over here to America. You can go back and forth. We can live over here. You know, he's not a he's a permanent, what is it, permanent resident? Green card?
We are scared and worried, and we, especially him, no longer feel safe in this country.
You're just not a citizen?
That's not the only reason we're moving, though, right? I mean, we've been talking about leaving the United States for a couple of years.
You legal, right?
Kind of been seeing a
Not a legal alien if you're over there with the green card, right?
downward trend happening.
You paid your fees?
And just feeling like
10 years? These numbers sound very familiar.
This like capitalism that's happening here, it's just not working for most people anymore. I understand that there's a lot of opportunities in the United States.
Not working for E no more.
I'm grateful, but at the same time, things have gotten like really overheated politically here, and I know that every country comes with its own problems, but this past week has been literally insane. Like I don't even know what to say. I'm kind of scared to say anything.
Yeah, because a lot of times, a lot of stuff gonna be going down. People gonna be mad at you and trying to go after you for what your people doing.
Honestly, with the way things are going, but I just really hope that we can find some peace in Mexico, even with all of the issues we know.
Well, the cartels and stuff that Donald Trump has waged war on and declared as T's. Okay? Oh, gosh.
Mexico has... My husband's family and friends all still live in Mexico, by the way, except for his brother. He's in Ireland working right now, but...
Right, he working, because you know Mexico mean he is higher. Issachar, right? He is hired.
You know, we're very aware of what's been going on and what life in Mexico means and the bureaucracy and the slower pace and, you know, things of that sort, but I've been feeling really, really scared, and the last few months, every week, I feel like, are we gonna get out in time? Are we gonna make it out? Are they gonna like do something crazy, like close the border? Is my husband gonna be rounded up?
Yeah, because you have it. She live in America. He has Mexican citizenship, but since she married him, he's a permanent resident. But because of the declaration of war against these cartels and, you know, different criminal organizations as they go into it, which they criminalize the entire people, he's now can be subject to being deported and also racially profiled based on his skin. Okay? Right? They made it easier. Being brown, ICE is not, well, I'm going to say being, if basically you have it with that particular popsicle group, they have it where, you know, they pass different laws that basically they can profile you on the fact of the language and the color of your skin. All right? So if you speak with a certain language, you got an accent, you got a certain appearance, that can be used to basically stop you and, you know, could have it where you get some type of detention, okay, or some type of punishment, okay? So they're thinking, well, let's just leave this place entirely, okay? So, you know, I'm going to leave it at that. That's the lesson to the spirit. I hope y'all been edified. You know, hey, if you watch the lesson, you know, and it edified you, you know, just continue to, you know, pray for mercy and continue the prophets to, you know, do what they do, which is to prophesy, cover the prophesy. You know, we want to endure to the end. You know, we, you know, with, you know, all of our diligence, we just trying to make our call and election sure. You know, us as prophets, whether we on the other side actually going and like, you know, actually in the camp, you know, you can still be a prophet and not be literally in the so-called camp You know, you could be on the other side and, you know, you still are elect and be a prophet. You have prophesied, you know. It's just how the Lord have you in a certain office, you know. But if you follow the gospel of Yahweh Shai, which the Lord set up his son, you know, as a prophet as well, and for us to follow to and hearken unto and listen to, you know, hey, you're going to do the right thing, you know. You know, it says how wise men are not always prudent, something like that sort. I forget that scripture, what it say. You know, we came out of different darknesses and different things, but we repented, you know. And, you know, depart from wickedness is a great thing, you know. Let me see if I can find it. This is this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 35:3. To depart from wickedness is a thing pleasing to the Lord, and to forsake unrighteousness is a propitiation. Okay? So this is a proper thing that we're doing. Okay? Right now we're putting up a sacrifice to the Lord, knowing that Yahweh Shai is the final sacrifice, but we're being obedient to the commandment. Right? We're honoring this Shabbat or this Sabbath, which is Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement, to the best of our ability, doing a fast for 24 hours it was, and it is still currently, because I'm still in it right now. You know, the Lord, this is part of, you know, us making that altar fat. But as Yahweh Shai is up on that altar. All right? He's the reconciliation. All right? He's the amendment. It says, thou shalt not appear empty before the Lord, for all these things are to be done because of the commandment. All right? So we got commandments to do certain things. And we have to do what's required to the best of our ability. All right? So reflect back on that always and stuff. This ain't nothing in vain. As the scripture would tell you that... let me see if I can get that one. Damn, hold up. Wait. I should get that. What you put towards thy name. This is Hebrews chapter 6 and 10. For Yahweh Shem Yahshua is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of love, which ye have showed towards his name, right? Which is Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Yahweh in the name of his only God, Yahweh Shai. And that ye have ministered to the saints and do minister. All right, we serve the saints, you know, with this work. You know, be an example, be changing, you know, doing the things that we do that are, you know, not really acceptable for the world, but is acceptable to the Lord and proper for the Lord. Like I said, we made fools for Yahushua's sake. I was talking about being embarrassed because they talk about us being made fools for Hamashiach's sake. You know how we go out in the hedges, we put on the garments. You know, we got beards on our face. We do the right thing, and people say we want us to be scammers and wicked. You know, yeah, you know. But it's not. The Lord is not a niggar. He's gonna bless us back, and is blessing us back. All right. Job said this. This is Job chapter 9 and 29. It says, I started 27. If I say I will forget my complaint, I will leave off my heaviness and comfort myself. I am afraid of all my sorrows. I know that thou wilt not hold me innocent. What it says, if I be wicked, why then I labor in vain? Right? It says, if I wash myself with snow water and make my hands never so clean, yet shalt thou plunge me into the ditch, and my own clothes shall bore me. For he is not a man as I am, that I should answer him, and we should come together in judgment. Okay? And you have it that, as he says, I know it is so of the truth, but how should man be just with the power? You know, Job can know like what, you know, wickedness he's done, but then Job know he had faith and eschewed evil. All right? And, you know, the Lord is the one that justifieth. All right? You had it where his other people, his other friends would come and say different things to Job, you know, basically try to be of a condemnation of him. But we're not condemned, as there's no condemnation in them that are in Hamashiach Yahushua. So we got to stay to the course. All right? So that's what we're going to continue to do. All right? Continue to pray for the elect. Yeah, how about Shema Shabbat Shem? That's Baruch now, Baruch now, Baruch now. That's the Heavenly Father. In the name of the God, the Son, bless us, bless us, bless us. How about Hayarim Shal Yasha'Allah, the election of the nation of Israel, the hand-picked ones. All right? The aquarium are the special ones. All right? Shal Yasha'Allah. All right? How about Shema Shabbat Shem Kadesh? You know, Shamar Nawa, which is the guard us. You know, Mayan Rai from evil. Wahabrashayim from the wicked. Mayan Anashim Rai, men evil. All right, of Israel. All right. Hagavayim of the heathen. You know, Yahweh Shem Ashai B'Shem Kadesh Kanan Nawa, which is the, you know, be gracious unto us, basically. You know, because we need that protection. All right. You know, you pray that up, man. You know, that's what I pray. I pray we just continue to endure and make it, man. That's it. Because we at the end, governments being shut down, earthquakes going on, women losing their mind, women finding themselves and finding their mind, which is back with a man of the Lord, you know, and have to cast off their, you know, former conversation in the world. We're being circumspect. The Lord showing testimonies of how we rising up, right, as the rest of the place fall. We seeing the fashion of the world pass away. We seeing Donald Trump do his thing, all right? E do his thing, the rogue man, all right? You know, we becoming more manly, you all right? You know, us as men, the women are becoming more submissive, all right? And we're doing the right thing by following our customs and taking and surname ourselves as Jacob again, all right? Coming up out of that darkness and that confusion, all right? We're doing what we're supposed to do. So as brothers been saying, hold on, all right? Because, you know, we gonna get that deferred compensation, you know, which deferred. Let me see. Let me see if I can find it. Damn, man. Definite, but deferred comp. So defer is to put off, right? It's a postponement before we get what we gonna get, which is the kingdom. You know, the disciples end up asking, you know, what shall we get? You know, we forsaken, you know, houses, you know, families, right? Scriptures say here, the disciples' reward. Remember, we're pupils. So it says, this is, I'm gonna get this real quick. This is Matthew chapter 19 and 23. Then then said Yahushua unto his disciples, verily or truly I say unto you that that rich man shall hardly enter into the kingdom of heaven. And again I say unto you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of the Most High. Camel, you know, hey, having to stoop down, particular place, being a stubborn beast, you know. Rich men, hey, Adam ain't gonna want to come into this truth, because the truth comes with much sacrifice. All right? I've cast off different things socially and economically too to do this work, right? We still do. But hey, I wasn't rotten rich or nothing of that sort, but you know, think of it, somebody being financially well off, what are they looking at with the Lord? They like, I got everything. They received the consolation, right? It ain't that a rich man can't enter into it, it's that it's difficult, right? When his disciples heard it, they were exceedingly amazed, saying, who then can be saved? But Yahushua behind them and said, but Yahushua beheld them, Slakia, and said unto them, with men this is impossible, but with the power all things are possible. So all things are possible, you know, unto us. We don't have no limits, no ceiling, right? It says Matthew 19:27. Then answered Peter and said unto him, behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have therefore? And Yahushua said unto them, verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, back in the flesh, back in the gene, back in that sperma, all right? When the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And everyone that has forsaken houses, you know, you might have had to leave your house. Okay, the actual physical building itself, you know, or hey, like I said, all of the, you know, the dwellings and stuff, you know, had, you know, different people, our brethren, our sisters, our father, our mother, relatives, our wife, loved ones, you know. Some of y'all got, you know, husbands, y'all, you know, are, well, I ain't gonna say you left husband, because you ain't supposed to, they said, if a man wicked, he wicked, but like I said, you still do the truth, you know, and he can probably be won over by this truth. You know, the woman can't just leave a man just because he not following this truth. You know, he could be sanctified by your works. You know, and there's cases of that. Our children, our lands, for my name's sake, shall receive 100-fold and shall inherit everlasting life. So we gonna receive 100-fold. We getting everything, bro. That's lacking, nothing lacking. Or 100-fold and everlasting life. So it's like we didn't really lose nothing. It's just deferred. It's postponed. You know, so you got people that you have, you know, 144. It's 144, 14, and the likes and 4 people watching currently. That's what the elect is getting. 100-fold everlasting life. Book written on the book of life. You know, you like I said, there's things that we may want to be like in a certain way. We might want, like I said, when you forsake people, they might be sinners and they're your relatives and you want them to be good, but you have to move away from them because they are wicked. You know, you gotta have a child, you know, a certain, you know, situation, and you gotta forsake that to follow the Yahweh Shem Shai. You know, some have followed, you know, husbands, you know, the Lord brought them into the truth. Hey, that's not wrong. You know, the world will say it's wrong. You know, forgot your flesh and blood. But we already remember what the Lord said, who is his father and his mother, or his kinswoman, roughly paraphrasing, or those that do the will of the Father that's in heaven, roughly paraphrasing. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You know? That's your family, those that's doing this knowledge and this truth. Okay? We got blood relatives, but they truly not, they say love working no ill to his neighbor, you know? These people do evil unto us, so they count as like heathen and such, all right? But many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be first, right? And I gotta remember this precept. I usually don't remember it this way. I say the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. But I like how it said, but many that are first shall be last. You know, 'cause you got dudes, they in first place. Look at Rogue Man, Tiny Top. He first right now on this side, but look, he gonna be last. All right. Look at some of them in these businesses, you know, and prospering. They're gonna be last, and we gonna be made first because we are last right now, and we're, you know, gonna be the ones that's gonna be esteemed and first. All right, being the Ra'ashim, right? First in time or place in any succession of things or person, first in rank, right? The nobles in influence and honor, chief principal, first at the first, right? That's it, first at the first. All right, that's what I want to be, first at the first. I want to be on top. When I'm at that goal, when I'm at that finish line, I want that crown. All right, and I want everything that comes with it. All right, because I gave up everything, and all them things is as dung too compared to what I'm gonna get. All right, if I'm getting everything in its perfection, hey, I have to do this, and that's what I would want. You know, those that would so-called be loved ones to understand that this is beyond myself, and that I have to do this, and this is for a legacy. This is for a namesake. This is for Yahweh Shem Shah. This is for our nation. All right. Starting with the elect, all right? Because that's what we care about, the elect of the Most High. All right, 2/3 here in Babylon the Great, America don't care. Got wicked Jake, they don't care. All right, they scattered abroad. They didn't see. All right, well, the deferred compensation. Okay, what we gonna get? Everything. All right, I'm gonna do this like it's like a bid in prison. I'm gonna go under the yoke of the Lord, do this wisdom. But I'm going to get everything from following this wisdom. All right? And that's just that. And it's going to be your pie seeing the faces of our people. You know, they'll have, of course, that certain amount of contempt. You know, as Daniel will tell you about. You know. But, you know, they going to know how much, you know, for the record, what we had to go through for this. You know, the different anguish and pain we be thinking about our families and stuff, and how sad it is that we broken apart and stuff. You know, because of the curses, and they got dull ears and eyes that can't see, right? They're calloused over. The Lord blocked them, you know, but he chose you to receive the mysteries of the kingdom, all right? And chose you to be repentant, for you to be ahead for your tribe, for your nation. All right, you men, you could be chief, you could be potentially, all right, of what's written in this book in Revelation. When it's talking about Revelation 7, and it's talking about the 144,000, and I heard the number of them which were sealed, and they were sealed 104,000, and 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. You got to put on as this. And when you think about these different tribulations, don't be thinking of going back in the world. You can't. You got to be this. You got to show out for your tribe, for your nation. The Lord done set you to come forth as gold. All right? Be a precious, fine gold. The finest gold refined without any impurities. You have to show out. You women that's attached, you got to show out too. Okay, meaning to attach to that goal. All right, and as that fire and pressure is being put on, you have to still be able to stand to that pressure, because men out here are being purged. Okay, you don't want to be purged as dross. You want to be with that man that's being made more precious than fine gold. That man that's going to be a covert from the wind. All right. That man that they saying, look at who are those? You want to be part of that multitude, all right, with the palms in the hands, right? You know, you want to be of that remnant ultimately, okay? So, you know, y'all got to look back on what we doing this for. And like I say, like I look at them crazy people that fall out of the truth. Pray not to be of them. All right, don't just say it. No, believe it. I don't want to be them. And do what it is to not be them. And pray the Lord keep you doing the right things, the right works, so that you can be the righteous. All right? To be of them. Oh, these are they which have came out of great tribulation and washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. All right? That's what you want to do and be. We came out of great tribulation. So that even goes and prove about, wait, we would be in this, tribulation getting delivered. You got to do, they thinking they already got the raptures. We still in the tribulation. Okay? So, where's Yahweh? That's who we waiting for. Where's every eye gonna see him? Where's this rapture that he's talking about? So, that's the other people that are the pseudo Christians. Because they're not the true followers of Mashiach Yahweh Shai. By being the anointed ones that are cleansed by the washing of water by this word. Okay? The scripture said they seen a multitude from the tribulation, right? And after this, as it's titled, I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, this is Revelation 7:9, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues stood before the thrones. These are all Israelites, by the way, of a particular Guinness. All right, they come from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And before the Lamb, Yahweh Shai, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. Okay? You want that victory. All right? I'm not playing. I'm not wasting my time for nothing. Okay? I'm doing this and it's being counted for. This ain't a waste of time. This is Hosea chapter, Magan Shalamoth, the bottom for the precept again. Sold to you. Oh yeah, let me get that. Let me just pull it up. Hosea 10:12. Yeah, that's a good precept. See how them precepts come? The Lord bless you with overflow too. When y'all do these tazawams, which is fast in Hebrew in the plural sense, tazawam is the fast. All right, tazawam. It's like you're not tazawams, but tazawam. All right, yum. You can put it for like plural if you want. But masculine plural in that case. But tazawam, okay? What you doing, you sowing. All right, Zerai, which is a seed, right? Zerai is a seed when you go into that Hebrew word. Zerai is a seed, right? A yielding seed, right? Which a seed is you put in, and hey, the Lord give the increase. Hey, it's going to flourish. Sow to yourself in righteousness. Right? That takes you requiring you to invest. All right? Like, the Lord, he planted the elect a sure seed. Right? You got to be putting the right things in you. Best physically you can. Not be over righteous, but also more so spiritually. Reap in mercy. So sow to yourself in righteousness and reap in mercy. Break up your fallow ground, for it is time to seek the Lord Yahweh. That's a good precept, because this go good with it's a high time to wake out of sleep, right? Because then when you're going to be running, as the scripture say in Habakkuk, you're going to run, he that readeth it going to run, and when you run, you're doing what's necessary, man, to seek the Lord's face so that you can be counted worthy, Lord will, through the blood of Yahweh Shai being covered on you. For it's time to seek Yahweh. Right? I think it's kind of remind me of it remind me of this, like a Benjamite song, Time to Speak. Till he comes and rain righteousness upon you. Look at that, man. Which he gonna give us some new bodies, man. He giving us so much. Reign in righteousness, that's just blessings, man. Baruch, blessed. He will come with righteousness upon you. Seek the Rosh Break up your fallow ground. Ground, the yard. All right. I'm going to go into that another time. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go into that another time. But yeah, man. So you want to sow to yourself in righteousness. Ba tazadak, right? La tazadak. Right? Come to yourselves, to y'all out there, to use Zarai wa Lakam la tazadaka. That's in the Hebrew, which is sow to yourselves righteousness. Okay? It says Quatazar wa, which is the reap, la Hayah. You got in chesed, which is mercy. All right. So that should be it, man. Government shutdown. We see what's going on, man. This place is through. You know, America's finished. They begging for the end. We begging for the end too. In righteousness. You know, beg every day for the Lord to return. Yahweh Shem Yashai B'Shem Gadash Shawab. Return for the elect of Israel. That's what I said in Hebrew. Mahar. Abad Babal. Destroy Babylon. You know, how was Shai? How about Chayayim Shal Yasha'ala and deliver the elect of the nation of Israel, man? That's what we want, man. We almost out of here. Shalom. Brakta Yahweh Shem Yashai B'Shem Kodesh. Brakathum. Yahweh Shem Yashai Brakathum. Abakayim Shal Yasha'ala to the election of the nation of Israel. Waquam Yasha'ala. Shalom.